and grab your dog and just know you're the national champion. It's the greatest thing in the world.
We'll take a look at some of the replays here. Best of
there's
moments.
that really nice turn on that number 2 jump into that tunnel. And these weave pulls here. Barking. But only barking going to the one side. Beautiful teeter. Got that turn there. And then this was a really nice turn right there. Nice turn.
Cynthia and Truant, congratulations on the national championship. All the hours you put into this. What is the level of satisfaction to win yet again at AKC Nationals? I know you have a 16-inch.
He and his mother won in 2015 in Reno in the 16-inch class. So to come back and win it with her son is incredible. I'm so excited for him. He's such a good dog.
We saw a lot of faults on this course. Obviously, Truant had a perfect run. Where do you think the biggest challenge was?
Really just getting to turn off the broad jump, making sure he got his running dog walk. But I trust him on everything else. He knows his job. And so I was very excited with his performance. I know he can turn really well, which is important in agility.
Trust well earned. Congratulations, Truant. Congratulations, Cynthia.
Thank you
guys
very much.
Enjoy it. Carolyn and Terry, I know Truant wasn't a repeat national champ, but it is cool that we saw a couple repeat national champions. Just affirmations that as difficult as this course was here, that dogs that have won on other courses, other surfaces, have had success here as well. So it seems like we have a good measure of the best agility dogs in America here today.
Phil, you're right, and great having you here for your first agility championships. And Terry, as we take a look at your 2022 champions, your final thoughts.
It's absolutely remarkable. I mean, we had people from Alaska, we had people from Hawaii. And then you look at these dogs, Little Sparkle and Hallelujah, they all were just amazing dogs.
Terry, well said, and it has been a fantastic weekend of competition. The World Equestrian Center, a phenomenal host. Great to see everyone back on the road, and for 6 teams, watching them complete a memorable journey has been a lot of fun. That's going to do it for us here in Ocala, Florida. For Phil Murphy and Terry Simons, I'm Carolyn Mano, saying thank you for joining us for the National Agility Championships presented by the Farmer's Dog, and we'll see you again real soon.
Previously on the KayRod cast.
Now, David, do you like Alex more now that you work with him than you liked him with the Yankees?
Now I hate him more than when I was away from him because now I got to put up with him every day.
These guys are different. From each other, that is. One, a superstar athlete, celebrity, and businessman.
Concentrated focus.
The other, a baseball nut from the Bronx with a big voice.
We're talking baseball.
One, a path of fame and fashion. The other, not so much.
And you're right.
One played the game. The other calls.
See ya! Alex Rodriguez comes through.
They share a love for that game that they can talk about forever.
Best team in baseball.
And that's the connection.
You now have a side gig.
Oh, no, you guys.
Actually DJ.
What is going on?
We've been soliciting tweets. I mean, we like to be insulted. If KayRod sat next to me at a game, I'd change seats.
I don't want to sit next to you either.
Yeah.
Tonight, it's the Braves and the Padres. Michael Kay and KayRod. 2 guys different in every way, except one. Baseball. Grab your peanuts and Cracker Jacks. It's time for the KayRod cast.
Well, welcome back to another edition of KayRod, here from the South Street Seaport, Pier 17, the ESPN studios. The Braves against the Padres. I'll tell you what, though, Alex, we had such a good time together last week. I said, can I do the show from Baltimore, or should I go a little deeper and reach a little farther and make my way here?
Go the extra mile.
Look at this. Look at this trip that took place today. It started at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Yankees lost 5-0 to the Orioles. I broadcast that game on Yes. Left the ballpark, got into a car, nice enough to wait for me. Started to think, gee, I wonder what Alex is thinking right now. Then we head to, get this, a heliport.
Wow.
Look at this. This is a kid from the South Bronx climbing into a helicopter.
You're like a real estate tycoon, Michael.
Just minus the money. So, then I'm doing some, snoozing because I got up at about 8 in the morning today.
Got your Gucci shoes on.
Yeah, and then we landed on the west side of Manhattan on 30th Street and got into a car, wrote out the lineups.
Some notes, yeah.
Then I changed in there. I turned the camera off then because who needs to see that? We pull into the ESPN studios with my sweater on and then walk into the studio.
Look at you.
Alex, here we are, ready to roll.
And you look great. My question is, Michael, have you got a chance to eat anything?
I just scarfed down a burger.
Okay.
That was about it. They were nice enough to have a burger. But we have a big show today.
We do.
We have a lot. We have great guests. Great guest and obviously a great game as well. The Padres and the Braves. We got Brett Phillips, the happiest player, I think, in Major League Baseball, Alex.
In the history.
It might be. And then Stephen Kwan has burst upon the scene for the Cleveland Indians. He never swings and misses. He's the opposite of the player today. He never swings and misses. I don't know what we're going to say to the San Diego Chicken, but we'll figure it out. I hope he talks, because most of the time it's kind of a mime. And then we also have on, you're going to like this, Christopher Mad Dog Russo.
I like that.
All right, so he's going to.
And by the way, Chris has been great with Stephen A. Smith.
Yes,
I think he's been
Wednesdays.
terrific.
Yeah.
And he's a huge baseball guy, a tennis guy, and more importantly, a San Francisco Giants fan.
Oh, very big fan. And then Jeff Passan, because Jeff Passan was so nasty to me last week.
He was.
They wanted to bring him back so he could see if he was nasty again.
And they gave him a promotion.
Yes, they gave him a
But Michael,
promotion.
more importantly, we have two very, very special guests tonight.
Surprise guest.
Surprise.
I can't wait for this.
Call that a teaser.
Be here in studio?
They're in the helicopter now, another helicopter.
Right.
And they'll probably be here by the third or fourth inning.
All right, we want everybody to be involved as well. We're going to put a QR code on the screen, and you could actually vote. We got a lot of things. We want your feedback. Obviously, this is what we want you to vote on. Who's the best player age 24 or younger? Scan the code to vote. That used to be you, Alex, in the old days.
A long time ago. A long time ago.
And also go to Twitter and insult us or actually compliment us, whatever you'd like. We've got a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be a great KayRod show and obviously a great game as well. The defending Braves against the San Diego Padres. You come on back and enjoy Easter Sunday with us. beautiful San Diego, California. How do people live like that? KayRod cast from Petco Park, San Diego, California. The world champion Atlanta Braves against the San Diego Padres. Both teams start off 5-5 in their first 10 games. Let's take a look at the Braves starting lineup. Ozzie Albies, the second baseman, will lead off. Matt Olson, newly acquired first baseman, bats second. Austin Riley at third. Marcell Ozuna in left. Travis d'Arnaud will catch. Alex Dickerson, the DH. Adam Duvall, the center fielder. Eddie Rosario will play right and bat eighth. And the shortstop, Dansby Swanson, is going to bat ninth. So we are ready to roll. Yu Darvish on the mound. Albies at the plate. Let's do it in San Diego. And that's foul back. Now, obviously, the game's on the West Coast, so it's starting there at 4 o'clock. You can see the shadows right away.
Shadows are going to be an issue. And with Darvish, who has about 6 or 7 pitches, he says he has about 10 or 12. Something to watch for the folks at home tonight, Michael. The first 10 pitches. Last outing gave up 6 in the first and 3 in the second. And Darvish is a confidence guy. Important for him to have a nice 1, 2, 3 inning here in the first.
The Padres are a hard team to figure out. Obviously, they've made a lot of trades. They've spent a lot of money, and it has not translated. Last year, they didn't even make the wild card. The big surprise out of the West was the San Francisco Giants. So, new manager, Bob Melvin, and he's supposed to make a big difference with this team as Albies fouls it off. Now, last year it was Jace Tingler getting his first shot at managing, and Bob Melvin could make a difference on this team.
And Bob's one of the good ones. I mean, he's done a great job over his career. Started early on with the Yankees as a catcher, one of the tallest catchers. But, you know, the Padres are a little bit of an anomaly, Michael. When you look at them, they're in the 26th or 27th market in baseball, but they're spending like a primary market. They're drawing, that crowd is electric every night. And they have some swag, and especially the swag comes with Mr. Tatis, who unfortunately is not playing tonight.
Yeah, he decided to drive a motorcycle during the offseason.
I've always been scared of motorcycles. I don't know about you, but I never.
Swing and a miss. Albies down on strikes.
What you saw there was a very defensive swing, a little change up there. There's no way he saw this pitch. And you see him bailing on this pitch. I've been there many times. You're praying, especially with 2 strikes. Anything off speed, anything with a wrinkle, meaning spin, you can't see. You have a hope and a chance against a fastball. Anything straight, you have a fighting chance.
So you wonder, in conditions like this, why they don't throw more breaking balls, because I've always been told the fastball is the one pitch you could pick up.
Yeah, and you'll see Darvish. I mean, he's very aware. There's another breaking ball there. You can see him going early with a lot of breaking balls, and then once the shadows clear, then you can start. Once you slow down the hitters, you can throw them some gas later on.
See the numbers on Olson, outstanding. When you join a new team, that's the kind of start you want to get off to. And he's been great, and you know, he's essentially replacing an icon in Atlanta, and that's Freddie Freeman. So they made the trade with the A's, and then boom, signed him right away to a very reasonable contract. He grew up a Braves fan. He's from Georgia. So it was a perfect situation.
Well, that's right. He's replacing an icon. And to your point, Olson's from Georgia and Freddie Freeman's from L.A.
Yeah.
So it worked out beautifully. But give Alex Anthopoulos a lot of credit. I mean, you're talking about playing poker the right way. He made this trade, and then it was announced that they lost Freddie Freeman. If you announce Freddie Freeman going to the Dodgers first, the Braves have absolutely no leverage, and all of a sudden, Oakland may ask for another piece or two. Even though they got a lot, they would have gotten more.
A little bit of a gamble by the Braves, because Freeman was beloved by the fans and also respected in that clubhouse. And, you know, letting him go coming off a championship, that was a difficult thing. And Alex Anthopoulos actually cried when he was telling the media about it. That one slashed to left field for a base hit. But so far, Olson is making him look good, and Freddie Freeman has been embraced by the L.A. crowd.
Well, the best medicine is winning. They won a world championship last year. And when you bring a guy like Olson, who's been one of the most productive offensive first basemen and a multiple-time Gold Glove winner, and just an outstanding guy, it makes that a little bit easier. Great swing there, inside out.
So now he's going to work out of the stretch with Austin Riley at the plate. Those are the numbers for Yu Darvish in 2 starts so far. And there's a strike, a breaking ball.
Notice, Michael, that base hit the other way by Olsen was a fastball. It was up and in a little bit, did a nice job of inside out, little Tony Gwynn approach. The great Tony Gwynn.
Big cut, that's a fastball, got it by him. And the count 0-2. Riley is finally reaching his potential. He's a legitimate, outstanding player. Played a big role in October last year as well when the Braves surprised the world. How many people thought they'd be the champions, and here they are.
Yeah, I mean, 33 home runs, 33 doubles last year. The closest thing they've had since the great Chipper Jones. And Riley just looks like a player. He looks like a ball player that belongs in Atlanta. He's big, he's strong, he plays fundamental baseball, and he's improved tremendously over the last 18 months.
So Hosmer holding Olsen at first. And down goes O'Reilly. Second strikeout for Darvish, 2 away.
Nice sequence by Darvish. First a slider, then a 4-seamer, and then the 2-seamer, Michael. Making a sharp right turn there, right under the buckle of Riley. Very tough pitch. And again, late movement with the shadow makes it really difficult to hit.
I'm curious, coming off a championship like you did in 2009, how tough is it the next year? Because you've got the target on your bat.
You sure do. And you know, the Braves are a little different because they did it with the best player hurt in Acuna. And again, Alex Anthopoulos went out, made some very quick decisions, very decisive. And that's the key, right? He was decisive, and the 3 or 4 outfielders that he brought in were the key of the World Championship. So it was an organization championship. So I think this year they feel that, okay, Acuna comes back hopefully sometime in May. This is the first team that can repeat since the 99-2000 New York Yankees.
And Acuna actually played a rehab game today. So we'll see. As Alex said, they hope sometime in May. Now, also the Braves from last year's performance, they are now the poster children for every team that gets off to a bad start. They didn't even get over 500 until August, but because of those great deals, though.
The deals made the biggest difference, and you know, a lot of front offices would have said, you know what, we'll get them next year. It's just not meant to be. They didn't. They huddled up, they regrouped, and made some very important, decisive decisions. That was the key factor of the World Championship. Nasty slider here. Kind of breaking ball. And he'll play with that breaking ball. Sometimes it'll be 87, 88 with a slider, and that was a little bit more of the breaking ball. Downward action.
So runner on first with 2 outs, just underway. Lays off that one. And Ozuna was not part of what they did last year either. A domestic incident. He was suspended right after he had gotten hurt, so he did not play at all. Only now has he come back and been part of the roster again.
Yeah, and a veteran bat. Hits fastballs very, very well. A big right-handed bat. And from guys studying pitchers, he's one of those guys that spends tons of time, a little bit like Carlos Beltran, really predicting and looking for his pitches.
Well, that makes it 3-2, and that means that Olsen's going to go at first. They'll play behind him now as Hosmer backs up. You saw Ozuna just played 48 games last year. So he could say he was part of the world champion Atlanta Braves, but he really wasn't, because he wasn't there for the run. All right, here's the payoff. 3 strikeouts for Darvish. Only Olsen's single was the blemish in the first inning. So it's the Braves nothing, and the San Diego Padres coming to bat. All right, so the Braves don't score in the top of the first inning. Now it's the Padres' turn coming up in the bottom of the first. Let's take a look at their starting lineup. Padres, as are the Braves, they're 5-5. Go back to the old brown and yellow, like Nate Colbert. Anyway, Trent Grisham in center field will lead off. Austin Nola will catch. Jake Cronenworth, the DH. Manny Machado, third base, will clean up. Eric Hosmer at first. Jurickson Profar in left. Matt Beatty is the right fielder. Haesung Kim is the shortstop. And really a highly touted youngster, C.J. Abrams at second base. He can play short. He's played in the outfield as well. Manny Machado so far in the series at the Braves is 8 for 14. And here is Bryce Elder. So far in one start, 5 2/3. He's given up 3 earned runs. Has not walked a batter. And I assume that 4 is for strikeouts. There's nothing over that, but I'm going to guess it's strikeouts. There you go. See? I'm sharp today, even though I was in a helicopter.
Very sharp. I don't know how you do it, Michael.
All right, so here we go as Grisham leads off against Elder.
Elder, only 22 years old, from Texas.
And there's a strike.
5-pitch mix.
Think about what a bonus it is for a kid like Elder to have Charlie Morton on the team. Teach him everything.
Yeah, it's like having David Cohn.
Yeah.
Right, or an Andy Pettit, and a guy that's proven right-hander, has changed his way of pitching. Morton used to be much more of a sinker slider guy. We call those east and west. Morton changed his way of pitching when he went to Houston, much like Garrett Cole. Eliminated the sinker, eliminated the slider, and started pitching more north and south. That means fastballs, 4-seamers up, breaking balls down. It worked beautifully, not only for Garrett Cole, got him the big contract, and for Morton.
And Morton, despite his advanced age, is thrown in the upper 90s, too, so he has aged very well. Got hurt in the first game of the World Series last year, but he has come back strong. Another strikeout, so 4 outs in the game, 4 strikeouts, so this is 2022 baseball.
Well, and it's also 5 o'clock in the afternoon in San Diego, and you have shadows, but you saw Doug Eddings, the 22-year Major League umpire behind the plate. Just want to reference something for the folks at home, that last time he was in this stadium against the Phillies last year, he threw the manager out of the game and he threw Manny Machado out of the game, struck him out with the bases loaded. These fans know Doug Eddings very well, and he knows his fans, so it'll be very interesting to keep an eye on that.
Now, he's considered the most pitcher-friendly umpire in the Major League, so we'll keep an eye and we'll see if there's anything that leans one way or the other, because obviously he's had his issues with the Padres last year. 2-0. So when you see an 88 OPS plus, that means he's below a Major League average. If you want to be over 100, you want to be over 100 by a lot. 145, well, that means you're an excellent player. The 88 means he's underachieving, and he's below the average for a Major League catcher.
That's very complicated. You know, I used to spending time with Pete Rose. Pete would tell you, give me the simple things. 300, 100 runs scored, 100 RBIs. Everything else, I don't care about. A guy who had over 4,000 hits.
And that is, they don't even care about average anymore. They look at those advanced stats. That's why we have them for you. And there's ball 4 as Nola works a walk.
By the way, Michael, not thinking about valuing batting average is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of. I mean, you think about the Paul O'Neills, the Derek Jeters, the Chipper Joneses, you know, me growing up watching Dale Murphy, Tony Gwynn. I mean, that was the gold standard, hitting 300, because that means you're a good hitter. That means you can put the ball in play. And what happens in October is you get the premier pitchers, top tier, and they miss bats. And if you're missing bats during the season, you're not going to touch the ball in October.
Jake Cronenworth takes inside from Elder. So runner on first base with 1 out, just underway. That's Alex. I'm Michael, listening to the KayRod cast here on ESPN2. And we have an energetic second inning coming up with Christopher Mad Dog Russo. I've known Chris for years, and as you mentioned, during the Open, he has really teamed up with Stephen A. Smith on First Take on Wednesdays, and that's the place to be.
I mean, Chris is he's iconic status. I remember growing up in Miami, listening to him in the Yes Network. He was for a very long time with Mike Francesa, and has been, as you said, outstanding with Stephen A. Smith.
And now he works for the MLB Network and Sirius XM, so he's keeping busy, and now he's going to join us on this Easter Sunday. So the count 3-0 on Cronenworth. And there's ball 4. So 2 straight walks here in the first inning. And that brings up Machado. I look at Machado and I think a little KayRod. Do you see similarities?
I do. And, you know, Michael, when he was 15 years old, he came to visit at my house. I was with the Yankees. And with his mom, Dominican background, and great mom. I mean, just really caring, really smart, cared about her young boy, 15. But when he walked into my house, the way he looked in my eyes, the way he had body language, his swagger, I knew he was going to be not a good player, but a great player in the major leagues.
He's gotten off to a great start. Obviously, without Tatis, he has to pick up some of the slack. And he signed a big free agent contract with the Padres. And you know what? He has not let down. Did they get it? Yes, they get the force at second, just barely. And Cronenworth thinks that he was safe. So Machado reaches on the fielder's choice, but are the bases loaded? Or is it first and third with 2 men out? Let's take a look at this replay.
He's safe.
Oh, yeah, he's safe.
And the mistake there is not in the picture. The mistake there was by Swanson. Swanson let that ball play him. First, he was playing too deep. He should have been in double play depth. And then, if you're playing deep, Michael, as soon as the ball's hit, you got to book it, right? Because you know a guy running at first has plus speed. He played it back, he got very lazy, and he kind of just threw a little bit of a jellyfish over to Albies.
Well, they're certainly going to reverse this. It's very clear.
After review, the call on the field is overturned. The runner is safe. San Diego will retain their challenge.
You love this, don't you, with the microphone, right?
But watch Swanson, Michael, here. Watch him go back. He should be going forward. He got 2 feet on the grass, and Albies should be a first baseman. That's another mistake. He catches the ball up by his belt buckle. That should be way out there like a first baseman and reaching out. Let me get up here like this. I mean, he should be way out here. Where's the camera? He should be here. Instead, he was here, and that was the difference. He was basically safe by that much. Baseball's a game of inches, and on the front end, Swanson, you got to come get that ball and then throw a hard little dart, a strike.
Bases loaded, 1 out. Here's Hosmer. There's a strike.
So, Michael, if this is the bag, Albies. Albies is here. First of all, he's here straddling the bag, and he catches the ball right here. That minute that ball is hit, right, Albies knows that it's not a double play ball. So immediately he should say, I'm no longer a second baseman. Now I'm a first baseman. And I'm going to get here. I'm going to be looking at Swanson, big target, and as soon as that ball goes, I'm going to go out and stretch. And if he does that, even though Swanson was slow and played it back, he would have been out. So 2 mental mistakes there, one on shortstop on the front end and Albies on the back end.
Yeah, he did hang back, and if he did stretch out, and because it was so close, he probably does get him. So Elder has himself a jam, 2 walks, and then Machado reaches. I guess you have to give him a hit on that, because they wouldn't have gotten him on first the way Swanson played the ball.
That should be a
wrap foul.
Should be a fielder's choice, Michael, not a hit.
It is scored a fielder's choice. Now you wonder what goes through Hosmer's mind. Very much rumored to be traded a couple of times. They looked like they had a deal with the Mets, and then the Mets said no. That would have involved Dominic Smith coming over. And it seems like ever since the Padres signed into that big contract, Alex, like they've tried to get rid of him.
Yeah, and I don't understand that. I love Hosmer, not just because he's from Miami, but he's a Gold Glove winner at first. He's in tremendous shape. He's a great leader. He's a world champion. And sometimes you have a guy like Keith Hernandez, who was a guy I grew up watching. And, you know, Keith Hernandez drove in 109 runs with like 11 home runs, right? And John Olerud. There's a lot of guys that bring value, and it's not necessarily with the long ball. But Hosmer, what he is, he's a baseball player, and he's a winner, and he's a leader. And maybe they don't appreciate him with the Padres, but I'll tell you what, in Kansas City, he's a folk hero. Not quite George Brett status, but he was a tremendous leader in that clubhouse and had a great run in that 15. And right now, he's fighting for his life. I've been here with 2 strikes, Michael, with the shadows, a kid that has you on the ropes. He can spin the ball. You're literally praying, make a mistake, and let me put the ball in play.
1-2. That's popped up. Infield fly rule called as Swanson makes the play. And there's 2 away, so a big out for the Braves. And that's going to bring up Jurickson Profar.
It's just a late swing, just reacting. I mean, he gets that same pitch in the 4th or 5th inning, it may be a grand slam. The pitchers have a great advantage early on in these 5 o'clock games.
So here's Profar. Bases loaded, 2 men out. I think Profar is sporting a gold belt buckle. Looks like he's a WWE champion. Look at that.
Stylish. I like it. I could never pull that off, Mike.
I think you could.
Yeah, but
I think you could.
You could.
No, I can't. The next KayRod cast, I'll have that gold belt. Popped up again. And Swanson makes the play. All right, buckle up, everybody. See that guy? That's Christopher Mad Dog Russo. He's going to join us in just a sec. Welcome back to KayRod. The game is in San Diego where the Braves and the Padres, nothing as we go to the 2nd inning. And we also go to our very special guest. This man is busy, SiriusXM show. He also is on with Stephen A. Smith every Wednesday on First Take. He's on the MLB Network as well. I don't know how he sleeps, but he joins us right now. Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Chris, how you doing?
Go T-Wolves, baby! Minnesota T-Wolves! How are we doing? How are we doing?
We're doing
Everybody
great.
all right?
We're doing. How was your Easter?
Easter was very good. I had one of my kids come home for the weekend. I got a little golf in. So yesterday the weather was good. The Nets game was unbelievable at the end. And now I'm talking to you two and give KayRod credit. Because I've had fun with KayRod for years, and KayRod's putting up with me on his show. So he gets credit for that today. He gets credit.
Chris, I want to know, how's the tennis game going right now?
You know, I haven't played as much in the wintertime. The tennis season is about to kick off here in Fairfield County, Connecticut. All these outdoor courts, all these little club matches. My second serve gets me in trouble. The matches are on Wednesday night, and it's weird. When you play a lot of those club matches, as we see a strikeout, Darvish all of a sudden getting people out, not a World Series game. When you see all these club matches, they know they're playing me, and so I get nervous, and my second serve gets me in trouble. Anyway, how are we all doing today?
Now, I know that on your mind, Chris, you know, I checked in with you earlier this week when I knew you were going to be on. You didn't like the Kershaw situation. Now, I don't know which way you lean, but you said you didn't like the Kershaw situation. For those that don't know, Kershaw pitched 7 innings, perfect game, 80 pitches, and came out. What didn't you like?
Oh, I couldn't stand it, Mike. I mean, geez, you're going to take yourself out of a perfect game? I mean, and it's not Dave Roberts. That was all Kershaw. He's Kershaw. If he wants to stay in the game, Roberts is going to let him stay in the game. He threw 6 pitches in the bottom of the 7th inning. They had a 6-0 lead because they scored the 3 solo homers in the top of the 8th. I mean, there's only 20-something guys who have ever thrown a perfect game. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Well, what's going? This is baseball. I mean, you're playing for history, immortality. You don't take yourself out of that spot. How about if somebody was trying to catch Wilt and he had 90 points with 4.5 minutes left in the game? You know, I've had enough. Take me out with 5 minutes to go. I mean, who does that? Isn't baseball about that kind of thing? That was a special moment. It would have led to today's show. Everybody in America would have been wrapped up on Kershaw throwing a perfect game at his age, and he comes out after the 8th inning or after the 7th inning. I don't know. For me, that really bothered me, guys. That really bothered me. I have to admit, bothered me.
Now let me give you the other side, and you're going to disagree. The guy was considering retirement. Hardly pitched at all last year. Didn't pitch at all in spring training. It's a recipe for disaster if they keep him in there.
Well, then, you know what? That's the case. Then here's what we do, Mike. Have him pitch 2 innings every time he goes out there until September 15th. Let him pitch a couple of ball games so he gets his arm loosened, and then when he gets to the World Series, gets to the postseason, he can give you 75, 80 pitches. I mean, he's pitching for a perfect game. I mean, geez, 27 up, 27 down. It's been 20 in the history of the sport. And I understand he's an all-timer, but my God, you take yourself out of the game when you threw a 5-pitch bottom of the 7th inning. 80. It wasn't like this was not Santana. This was not 135 pitches. It was 80 pitches. Oh, that really bothered me. I'm surprised, Mike. KayRod, I think, probably agrees with me. I'm surprised he disagrees with me on that point.
I do, Chris. I do. And, you know, David Cohn is one of my favorites of all time. He said that he's still paying the price for that championship game against the Twins, but he doesn't regret it for 1 minute because it changed the trajectory of even his career, a guy who's won 5 championships. But, Chris, right along the lines of, you know, this product of baseball, I'm interested to know, are you enjoying it? Should there be more of a blend of experience, old school, and analytics? Or are you happy with the analytical way where things are being pushed onto the managers, where they have very little to say?
KayRod, I can't stand it. I mean, think about it for a second. We have eliminated the big star pitcher. The big star pitcher doesn't pitch anymore. He pitches 5 innings. I understand it's early in the year, short in spring training, so you have to be careful. But the big guy never pitches anymore. Thank God Verlander went 8 innings the other day. The big pitcher never pitches. We lose the aspect of that big-time Hall of Fame pitcher working with guts and someone's going to hit a home run here. Is this Springer in the World Series? No, it's out center field. But, I mean, I'm not a Darvish fan. But, I mean, I know you got to get to a commercial. I know you have to go to... I'll be back in a minute. I'll tell you this.
We're going to come back to you. Hold that thought. Chris Russo will stay with us.
Have more coffee, Chris. More coffee. Let's go, baby.
Yes, sir.
All right, we go to the bottom of the second inning, and the Padres and the Braves, nothing from San Diego's Petco Park. It'll be the bottom third of the Padres order, and we are talking with our good friend Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Now, Chris, I wonder if we're on different sides of this as well. I know, KayRod knows, you're a gigantic San Francisco Giants fan. So they were playing the Padres. Right. It's 11-2 in the bottom of the sixth inning, and Mauricio Dubon lays down a bunt. And Bob Melvin is red hot. After the game, Gabe Kapler said, you know what? We're not going to stop scoring. I want to go into the bullpen. I want them to use as many pitchers as possible. And I kind of agree with that. I've come around on this. What's your thought on the unwritten rule of not piling it on?
No, 11-2, Mike. We got a bunt at 11-2 in a sixth inning. I mean, really? Are they a 9-run lead with the Padres, where their offense is hitting in that ballpark? This is not... you're not playing in Wrigley Field or in Fenway. I didn't like it. I mean, I really didn't like it. I think there's a proper way to handle that. Here is the play that you're referring to the other night, and the Padres and Melvin got all ticked off. And didn't they steal a base late in this game too with a big lead? Didn't they do that too, Michael and Alex? I think they did.
Well, I mean,
Kapler
said he is not going to call off the dogs. He said we're here to play 9 innings. That one's hit to center field.
Okay, if that's the case, then why does sometimes teams bring in everyday players to pitch in the late innings in certain games if they're never going to call off the dogs? I'm sure Kapler's done that in the last couple of years, where he's brought in a positional player down by 10 runs, no?
Well, we saw that too. I mean, a positional player was brought in to pitch against the White Sox. Mercedes swung and hit a home run, and Tony La Russa didn't like it. But here's my point, Chris. Here's what I don't get. We're moving into the 21st century. Everything is analytics, but we're going to stay stuck in 1930 about piling it on and unwritten rules? Doesn't make sense. Be one thing or the other.
But remember that remember the thing though with La Russa, Michael, it was a 3-0 pitch, and he was given a take sign. Yeah, and he was given a take sign. So he disobeyed his manager, who gave him a take sign, don't swing, and then he swung. So that's a little different to me. So I blame the hitter in that situation. I just think in certain situations you call off the dogs. Do you leave your starters in an NBA game when you're up by 30 in the second half? I mean, Belichick's the only guy who leaves his quarterbacks in the fourth quarter. I am not high on that. I like Melvin, so I'll buy. You and I twice we disagree, and I'm shocked you disagree with me about Kershaw. I am shocked by that. How does he take himself out of the game?
No, I'm sorry. You don't want to get hurt. That could be the end of his career. Almost retired during the offseason. He didn't throw at all.
Well, then why is he pitching in the 8th inning and 7th inning anyway? It was 30 degrees out. Have him pitch one inning.
Chris,
if we're worried about getting hurt.
Chris, let me tell you a little bit about from the player's perspective. That's where I believe that veteran players in a clubhouse, and Freeman got on Acuna. Acuna was upset. We'll talk about a little bit about that later. But you need guys like Jay Buhner. I came up under Lou Piniella. I mean, there was unwritten rules, but it was basically respect the other team, right? And I think the black and whites are easy. If the game is 11-2, don't bunt. I mean, come on, right? Now, the tough one is more if it's 6-1, right? Now you're getting into a little bit of no man's land. But 11-2, don't bunt. If you're up by 30, take out your starters. So a veteran player will come up. Jay Buhner would say, hey, young man, don't ever do that again, with a couple F-bombs in there. And it was done. But a lot of things are not to be handled by the manager and Gabe Kapler. I don't believe that's his job. It's the veteran players to say the do's and the don'ts. And there happened when you're in the bar, Michael, after the game for 2 or 3 hours, having a couple of cocktails, a couple of pops, and you're talking about the game, you're unpacking the game. And I feel that part of the game is missing because everybody's on their iPads.
But Chris and Alex, where do we draw the line, though? Okay, the commissioner of baseball has come out and said, let the kids be kids, all right? Let the guys be boys be boys. So they could flip bats and rub it into the other team's face? So where is the line that you're going to die on?
You can. The commissioner, Rob Manfred, said, let kids be kids. That doesn't mean that we're going to let our kids drink and drive.
Right.
That means they can go out and have a little fun, go play a little tennis, go to the festival, go have fun. But you still have to be responsible and take care of each other and just have good sportsmanship. That's all. If it's 15-1, come on, guys, swing the bat. I like you to bunt when the game's on the line. Guys won't bunt when you're down 3 in the 9th. That's when I want you to bunt and get on base. Then they swing for the fences 100%. And strike out.
Or take a strike. How about a 2-0 pitch and you're down by a couple of runs in the ninth inning? How about taking a strike before you swing it 2-0? Michael, I'm surprised that KayRod and I are on the same page and you're lost on both these points. I'm shocked by that. Shocked.
I'm a little shocked,
and
I'm a little disappointed, too. I really am. I thought we were on the same wavelength, Chris.
And the
Hey, Chris,
Yankees
speaking of-
stink.
Chris.
Oh, boy, let's do the Yankees.
Chris, speaking of Michael Kay and the Yankees, I'm curious. You've been in the city for a long time. Now, you were around when the boss was around, George Steinbrenner, Stick Michaels, Buck Showalter before Joe Torre. A lot of times,
Right.
I mean, Buck Showalter's a kingmaker. All he does is go places and the championship follow. Did that in New York
Right.
and did that also in Arizona. My question is, if you had to forecast the next 5 years in New York, are you more bullish on the Yankees or the Mets?
Mets. I think the Mets have a little sex appeal right now. I think the owner, he's still in a little bit of a honeymoon period. I think Cashman, who I like an awful lot, I don't think he should be, but I think there's a sort of a tiredness with Cash since he's been there for so long. So I think that has the Yankee fan a little bothered a little bit. Listen, the Met pitchers are a little old. You know, who knows on DeGrom? Scherzer's 38, 39 years of age. But I think there's a little sex appeal with the Mets right now. This has always been a great National League town with the Dodgers and the Giants. So I think for the first time in a while, Michael knows this as well as anybody. I mean, I'm not sure this is going to be 1986 again, but I do sense there's a little bit of a Met resurgence as far as the both teams are concerned. And the Yankees can't be losing 2 out of 3 to the Orioles. Enough. You know, the Orioles beat them enough last year. What, they go 11-8 against them, Michael? I mean, can you beat the Orioles once in a while? This is ridiculous. You can't beat Baltimore for crying out loud.
The Yankees had a winning record against the Orioles, but not as much as the team that won the division. 30 runs for the first 10 games for the Yankees. That's the fewest through 10 games since 1977. They went on to win the World Series. I mean, people want to go crazy and get nervous, but Alex and Chris, I mean, it's 10 games.
I'm nervous.
There are professional hitters there.
No, I disagree, Michael.
Oh, come on.
I'm nervous because it's a continuation of the last few years.
Yes,
and
it
I got
is.
to tell you, I've been in this situation before. I think the Aaron Judge situation is easy to dismiss, but when you're in that clubhouse and the big guy's not taken care of, I think there's going to be some residual, and it's not going to be positive residual.
Oh, I want to get your take on that, Chris. They offered him $30.5 million.
Yeah.
What's your thought on Alex?
Great
What's your
job,
thought
Alex,
on
bringing that
Judge?
up. Well, here's the thing I have a problem with Judge. I thought Judge wanted to be a Yankee for life. I thought all he talked about was being a Yankee. Oh, I love it here. My wish is to stay here. And then he wants more than Mike Trout. I mean, he's missed 37% of the games in the last 3 or 4 years. It was like the Yankees didn't give him a fair offer. What was it, $30 million a year, $230-something million? That's not enough. I had a problem with it. And part of it is because, Mike, he made everybody seem to think that he loves it here. Judge's chamber out there in right field. I'm a Yankee. And then all of a sudden, the Yankees give him a fortune and he doesn't like it. Well, I'll talk to you at the end of the year. And the other thing that drives me crazy, these players, well, I can't talk once the season starts because I'm going to be distracted. You know what? I got an idea. If SiriusXM wants to offer me a lifetime contract tomorrow at 4:30 in the afternoon when I'm doing a show, I won't be distracted. I'll sign my name on it for crying out loud. This distraction, who is distracted when they want to pay you $40 million? Michael, are you distracted when ESPN gives you all this money? No way. You can do other things when you're talking to ESPN. Judge can't talk to the Yankees until the end of the season. Oh, come on, please. I'm so tired of that. Go ahead.
We finally agree. I never understood it. You're paying an agent 4 or 5%. He's negotiating. He comes to you and says, all right, $35 million a year. I'll take it. Is that a distraction?
Don't look at me, Michael. I am always ready to talk money. You saw my career.
Go ask Tom Hanks, baby. Go ask Tom Hanks.
Listen, hey, Rizzo, you know this better. I'm okay with distractions. I'm pretty good at that.
You are. You have 9 lives too, KayRod. Go ahead, yeah, Michael.
I'll make this is life number 6. I believe that they will negotiate during the season. I think the Yankees will come back. They'll up it a little bit. He'll come down a little bit. I believe.
But wait. Do you have sources telling you that?
It's just a gut.
Or you just gut?
It's just a gut.
Okay.
I'm going anti-analytic.
You're going Lou Piniella, Billy Martin style.
Yes, I'm going with the gut.
Billy Martin and Lou Piniella couldn't get a job today.
I'll give you another one that I was wondering. I wasn't on last week, so I'll give you another one that I thought was interesting. Did anybody have a problem with the Mets with the Tom Seaver statue on Jackie Robinson Day? Really?
I didn't.
We got
I did not.
162 games. This is now we're gonna get a double play. Oh my God, I can't.
No,
oh, good.
beat
I
it
got
out.
another. But you had to have that then. You couldn't do it on Saturday. You couldn't do it. I was shocked. That's a huge day, and 75th anniversary, and of course New York City and everything else with Jackie. I was shocked the Mets decided that day to do that.
But that wasn't the plan. It was because of the lockout, Chris. That became the home opener after the week of the lockout. So that's kind of not fair. So I could see why they did it. But you're saying just push it to Saturday.
You couldn't push it to Saturday. They'd have 20,000 people out there. It took them long enough to put a statue up. What's the difference in one more day? We're crying out loud. Oh, that drove me crazy too. Hey, Rod, you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the statue is incredible. I think Met Nation loved it. The timing's a little tricky, but I think the Mets, look, they're in a honeymoon. They're spending a lot of money. Here's what I like about what the Mets are doing, Chris. They're a hybrid of analytics and old school. And what I mean by that is they have 31 people in the analytics department. The R&D department, that looks more like a hedge fund than a major league front office. So that's great. Good job there. Better job is they have what I think the best manager in the game in Buck Showalter. And again, this is low-hanging fruit where I just mentioned Lou Piniella and Billy Martin as one of my two classics of Joe Torre, favorites of all time. And a guy like Buck Showalter with a very veteran coaching staff, I think that mix is going to do very well. And I'm going to say it here. The Mets will win 2 championships in the next 10 years. That's my call.
Wow.
So you have Buck managing till 75?
I think Buck Showalter is the not the modern day. I think he is baseball's version of Nick Saban. And I tell you what, I played for him, and the guy's a savant. He's as prepared as anyone. He has all the numbers, but he also has gut. And he knows talent, and he knows how to find talent.
Let's see if he got
a grand
all of
slam?
that.
Yes, No, he did not.
Makes the catch. Chris, you blew
Sort of
2
like
home run calls.
Yeah, I mean, I was. Well, I thought you were going to give me a Sterling and say it was long, high, far, and out of here. There's the fly ball to left field for crying out loud. Would you mind giving me
Chris,
that, Michael?
thank you so much. After the show, I'm going to helicopter to your place in Connecticut. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Very bougie.
We love you guys. Keep it going.
Some help. Franco, 21. Soto, Tatis Jr., Guerrero Jr., they're 23. And the next 3 are 24. Acuna Jr., Luis Robert, and Bo Bichette. I'm excited for the future of baseball, Alex, because there's just a plethora of these great young players that are going to be here for the next 15 years.
It's incredible. And when you look at these young men, you also, 4 of these guys have fathers that played in the big leagues. And that's good for the game. Recognition, it ties, different generations together. But, the one guy that jumps off the page for me is Vladimir Jr. Guerrero. And when you think about it, this is the first time I've ever seen where you say, my father's a Hall of Famer, but Junior may be better than the father. And that's not a put down towards Vlad Sr., because he's one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen. But this young man, what he just did in Yankee Stadium, 3 home runs. Here's a guy who has eagle eye, tremendous discipline on the plate. He has great balance. He can hit the plus fastball. And here's the key, a superstar that can hit great pitching. That's what Vladimir is, because he controls the strike zone. That plays well in October.
And at Yankee Stadium, he hit 2 home runs off Garrett Cole. Now, one was a mistake, Garrett Cole admitted. The other one was a pitch that no one could hit. It was a 98-mile-an-hour fastball low and inside. Somehow he got it and drove it. And then against Jonathan Loaisiga, who last year, in terms of WAR, was the best relief pitcher in the game, he clubbed him as well. I mean, that was unbelievable what he did.
Michael, there was 3 home runs that game, 2 off Cole, like you said, 1 in off the plate, 95 plus. But what was most impressive, on the next at bat, he takes a ball low and away and hits a double down the right field line. Garrett Cole finally says he tips his cap. I've never seen any pitcher, especially of a caliber of a Garrett Cole, do that in the middle of the game. That means he was overwhelmed by Vladimir Jr.
So 1 away here in the third, 2 runs for the Padres in the bottom of the second. I'm wondering, you were one of those young players way back when with the Seattle Mariners. What was the most difficult part? I mean, all of a sudden you're thrust into stardom. It's got to be head spinning.
It was head spinning, and Mike, I was in the big leagues at 18. I think for me, it was just getting used to the lifestyle. I mean,
so you couldn't even have a drink, and you were playing in the big leagues
for 3 years.
Yeah.
It was a long way from Miami. So part of my contract was the Mariners paid for my mom to fly 3 times a year from Miami to Seattle, because in many ways I felt like I was a freshman, then a sophomore, then a junior. But I think it was just getting used to the lifestyle off the field. I played with a guy, Goose Gossage, right, who would not, Goose was the best, but he's a veteran player. He wouldn't let me go back to the back of the plane to use the toilet. So he would go, rookie, back of the plane, front of the plane. But he was 44. I was 18. Right. I was like, this could have been your dad. Or my grandpa, not my dad. But he was great. And being around guys like Goose and Jay Buhner and Jamie Moyer and Felix Fermin, they really shaped my career.
Well, who do you hang out with when you're a kid? I mean, really, there wasn't any 18 or 19-year-old on the team with you, right?
I would let, Pepe, my buddies from Miami, they would come up and they would just hang out with me. And my mom, my brother would hang out. And,
Probably
everybody
lonely a little bit.
Yeah, everybody went to a bar. I went back to my hotel room.
Right.
And we didn't have Instagram back then, so I was really bored.
All right, 2 down here in the third. 2-0 Padres over the Braves.
Michael, one note here on the Padres. In the first 10 games, they have not made an error in the infield. Not one. Now, it helps that you have a Platinum Glove winner, Machado at third. You have a multiple-time winner, Gold Glove winner in Hosmer at first. They have a Gold Glove in center field. But the infield hasn't made an error. And that, I'm telling you, that's the kind of stuff that's a good sign of things to come. And it gives the pitchers, especially a guy like Darvish, a lot of confidence. Here's another one.
So 3 up, 3 down. Darvish pitching well. He allowed just that one single to Olsen. We go to the bottom of the third inning. In San Diego, the Padres lead this 2-0. All right, so we got the Padres and we have the Braves, and both teams have veteran managers. They're allowing dogs at the ballpark because it is Petco Field, Alex. It makes sense. And you're a big proponent of having people with experience as a manager and as a coaching staff, guys that have been there, done that. They have all the trophies. So that's a big deal for you.
It's a huge deal, Michael. I know that in my career, I benefited so much. Look, I came up as an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, and I needed the tutelage of people like Jay Buhner and Lou Piniella and Lee Elia and guys, John McLaren. I mean, these are names that the young fans at home don't know, but they meant so much to me as a young player because they expedited my maturity. If I have a college kid that doesn't have the real experience, that hasn't ridden the bus for many, many years, it's limited on what they can teach me.
Mm-hmm. Here's Hosmer, who's gotten off to a nice start. So he's leading off in the third inning. I think this dictates that we have to walk over to the big wall. Which we like to do anyway. Let's go. Let's go to the big wall.
All right, here we go. So Michael, one of the things that the Atlanta Braves from last year and this year have in common with the 1996 Yankees is experience in their manager and their top five coaches. Mm-hmm. The last year's team and this year's Braves team, same coaching staff, have collectively 247 years of experience. The 1996, they had Zimmer, they have 246. So 247 and 246. That is a lot of experience in one dugout. Mm-hmm. Now, when you look at 2022, here's where we are. We go from 247, 246. The Yankees this year, 95 years of experience, and the Giants, 69. Now, to me, I like the information coming from the analytics, but I like the experience to be able to unpack it and give me the 3 or 4 nuggets of all the information you've collected and give it to me in like baby food.
Now, let me return serve. The veteran guys that you're talking about, mm-hmm. like Larry Boa mm-hmm. and Mel Stottlemyre, and later on Larry Rothschild, do they want somebody with an iPad, an analytic guy, to tell them what to tell the players? I think they might recoil at that. So that's why you need guys that don't have a lot of major league experience, because they're more willing to spread that information to the players.
It's a little bit more about experience. David Cohn has a great saying, Michael, and he said, if you haven't ridden the bus, I don't have time for you. Right? And all he means is he wants somebody that has put on the spikes, that has been on the grind, and that has really kind of learned the game from without. But I'll give you an example. You mentioned Larry Boa. Larry Boa, around the year 2006, 2007, he came up to me in the backfield in Tampa, and he said, all right, you're the king of dumb quotes. He said, let's play a game. This is the first day of spring training. Mike Borzello was right there. He said, every time you give Joel Sherman or John Heyman or any one of these guys a dumb quote, you owe me $200. Well, that year, I ended up writing Larry Boa a check for $14,000 because I made a lot of dumb quotes. But the point is, he had the pedigree. He had 40 years of experience. He had my absolute respect. And I gave him the power to be able to coach me and tell me whatever he wanted in real time. And that meant good and bad. But media wasn't my best thing. But because of guys like Larry and Mike Borzello and others, I became a little bit better over time.
All right, say it's 2007. Alex Rodriguez has the same problem. All right, dumb quotes, as you say.
Yeah.
And there's a young coach that's never played in the major leagues and says, you got to stop. You won't stop? You won't respect them?
I would respect everybody, Michael, but here's the thing. You've done the games for the Yankees for 30 years. Mm-hmm. Am I going to feel the same way about Michael Kay talking to me about the Yankees or Vince Scully? Or am I going to talk a kid that just came out of Fordham this year as a freshman who's 21 years old? I'm going to respect the kid, but you're Michael Kay. I'm going to respect, whoever the pitching coach is, but I'm going to respect Larry Rothschild, Stottlemyre. This really has a lot of juice. And we can take this later, but this is another one. But yeah, I think the experience means a lot for players, and especially their development.
Now, I want to articulate this the right way. Do you not want analytics in the game at all? Because it seems like you don't love it. Mm-hmm. Do you not want it, or you think there's a place for it?
I love analytics, Michael. Now, I'm going to go to the year 2000, okay? 2000, and the size of the circle is basically the amount of resources put in. 2000, the R&D departments.
That's research and development.
Research and development was very small. The GMs, guys like Brian Cashman, made under $1 million. Guys Guys like Joe Torre made closer to 6 or 7, right? Then you had the veteran coaching staff, Lee Mazzilli's, the Willows, Willie Randolph, and many others. And are we done?
I think we're gonna go to break.
And then we can come back?
And then we'll come back, because you're right at big coaches.
That's right.
Well, so we're going to pause
and a
on
blind
big coaches.
spot.
All right, so we're going to come on back. We want you to come back as well. We got a lot of guests, some surprises later. KayRod rolling on. Welcome back to KayRod. Here's where we were where we left you. R&D was small in 2000. GM was small. Manager got paid a lot. Big-time coaches led to the players. Now let's go to 2022, Alex.
It's like Professor K. I like it. And just analytics, they started presenting information early on. In 14 and 15, they started shoving it in. And analytics departments started coming down to the manager's office and saying, this is what's going to happen. So if you look at 2022, huge R&D departments, research and development. We talked about the New York Mets have 31 or so in that department. The GM, you take a guy like Friedman from the Dodgers who makes about $7 million a year. Remember, Cashman was probably making under $1 million back then, and Torre was making kind of 6 or 7. So now you have the GM with a lot of power. You have the manager. You have managers making as low as $750,000 a year, right? This is 10, 15 years later from Joe Torre making 6 or 7, okay? You have coaches that are basically walking in from Twitter, college campuses, and they're taking nothing. I mean, a guy like Larry Boa, when he's coaching third base for the Dodgers, was making $300,000-$400,000. It'll take 10 years for a manager to make that today. And then you have the players. And here's where the blind spot is right here. Michael, you say, do I like analytics? I love analytics. But analytics can be very confusing. How do I take that analytics and present it to a guy like Gary Sanchez or Manny Ramirez or Manny Machado, okay? What I need is I need to take all those analytics and give me the 3 most important things, right? And then I need a guy like a Larry Bowa in my case, or a guy like Ron Washington, right, infield coach for the Braves, to be able to present it like he does to Albies and Swanson, okay? Once you present that, then we're gonna help you in executing that. And that's what Larry Bowa, Rob Thompson, Kevin Long did for me. They took a lot of confusing analytics, they simplified it, and then Larry Bowa helped me execute it, and guys like Mike Borzello and others, and that's when the players gets the most out of it. So we need to invest more into players with some experience. It can't just be all college kids. Where's the Willie Randolph? Where's the Lee Mazzilli's? I need more of those guys.
But I think the problem that you run into with that, if you bring those guys in, I think a lot of them are not all in with the analytics. Front office doesn't want that, because I've heard that there are some coaches, the 5 coaches that the main guys, they make 70 grand. And the team says, we'll give you 70 grand, but don't worry about it because you're going to be moving toward the pension. You know, it's another year toward the pension. So they're not getting paid a lot.
The teams are getting what they're paying for, okay? Now, the Mets brought in Buck Showalter. I thought it was a brilliant move. Buck Showalter calls me and says, hey, what do you think about Joey Cora? And I said, I love him. It'll be a brilliant move. Very smart, went to Vanderbilt, and he's a guy that's going to really help out. Because you got guys like Alex Cora, Joey Cora, who are old schoolers, right? But understand analytics. And the blend, I think, is where the championships are. And that's why I think, Michael, the Mets will win 2 championships in the next 10 years. Because I think they have a leader in Stephen Cohen and Buck Showalter that are all in.
See if Riley's okay here. Got him on the hand, and you always get scared with that. There's all those little bones in that hand.
Talking about hitting in the hand, Mike Trout also got hit in the hand today.
I saw that.
He got taken out of the game. That's always scary.
Here's another thing I don't understand about analytics. If you're going to throw that much into analytics, the R&D department, as you said, I mean, do you need to have a payroll of $280 million? I mean, the Dodgers are heavily into analytics, and their payroll is close to $300 million. The Mets are heavily into analytics. Yankees are heavily into analytics, and those are the top 3 payrolls in baseball. And then you look at the Tampa Bay Rays, it's all about analytics, and they don't have a high payroll.
Yeah, and by the way, nobody should try to be like Tampa Bay because they do it their own way and they're the best at it, right? And they've been doing it pre-2014 because that's the only way they know how to compete and win at the highest level. So they are the gold standard. But the New York Yankees need to be the New York Yankees. They don't need to win like Tampa Bay. Just be the Yankees. It's worked. You have 27 championships. Don't change now. The last championship was in 2009, and there's only been one in the last 22 years. So it doesn't make sense to go out and spend $200 million or $250 and not have world-class coaches like the Larry Rothschilds, like Stoudemire, like Lou Piniella. And that's why I think Buck Showalter. By the way, I also like Booney with the Yankees, Aaron Boone, and I love Alex Cora. So you don't have to be older, but those guys have pedigrees that both have families that were in the game. They understand the importance of old school baseball, but they also are very intelligent and understand the analytics and can direct it and digest it for the players.
That one has popped up.
Michael, do you mind if I tell you a story about Joe Torre?
I want to hear it.
So I was struggling in 06, and Joe Torre saw I was working too hard and I was grinding too much. And he brings me into his office, and he says, Alex, here's the deal. You're playing tomorrow, but if you get here before 6 p.m., you're benched, and you're benched for 2 games. And I said, Coach, what do you mean? I have to get here, Skip, I have to get here at 2 o'clock. He goes, you heard me, 6 p.m. If you get here 1 minute before that, you're done for 2 games. And then he took 2 bottles of Silver Oak wine. I'm not a big wine drinker, but Cynthia, my ex-wife, is. And he said, go. He had a great relationship with Cynthia as well. He said, go drink this with Cynthia, enjoy yourself, and come back and have some fun. I came back the next day, I followed. It was the hardest thing for me to do to show up at 6 o'clock.
When would you normally show up?
2:30, 3 o'clock. I was a big routine guy, right? And I showed up. I went 3 for 5 with a home run, and that got me on my way out. And Torre would always say, Alex, you remind me of Dale Murphy, okay? He would always grab me by the shoulder when I was on deck in the old stadium. And you would go by him and Zimmer, remember where they were? And he would go, come here. He goes, hey, big guy, come here. He said, you see that right center of the bleachers? I said, I'm going to tell you what I told Dale Murphy. I want you to focus on that right center field bleachers, think small, and big things would happen. And when I was at the batter's box, I would look at Joe Torre, because he was right in front of me in the first base dugout, and he would say, think small, and then he would point to right center. And that's 45, 50 years of experience that helped me become a better player. I'm not saying that young coaches can't do that, but how do you replace that experience? How do you quantify that? For me, it helped my career tremendously.
But don't you get the feeling, and I would think that you're worried about this, I don't think there's any turning back. And the people in the front offices run the sport now, not the people on the field.
Yeah, you know, early on, they were presenting information. Now they're shoving it all in. And there's not much pushback because that's what's happening. However, I like what the Mets are doing. I like what the Braves are doing. I mean, you have 247 years of experience in that Braves dugout. The payoff, like the 96 Yankees, a world championship. Ron Washington, what he's done for Chavez with the Oakland, what he did for Tejada, what he did for so many players, Michael Young, these guys worship him. They hand their gold glove over to Ron Washington. Here's a guy that has almost 55 years in the game of baseball. And if you're telling me that a kid out of college can teach you the same thing that Ron Washington, for a guy that played almost 25 years, I think he's wrong, and I'll battle anyone on that.
Now, on the flip side, the Braves, because Brian Snitker is an old baseball man, spent a lot of time in the minors, and they didn't really start shifting until midway through the season. That's when the season turned around. So there has to be a blend, too, because the information that the analytics people are giving you, it's invaluable. Like people ask, well, why do they shift? They shift because it works. So I think you've got to get both. As you keep saying, it's got to be the best of both worlds.
Michael, you rode in a helicopter today. You have a mansion in Connecticut.
You
have a chef. Now, the chef goes to Whole Foods. He brings back a bunch of groceries. Now, you and I, we're not as good. We can't cook it, but when that meal comes out, it's presented beautiful, warm, with a nice glass of wine. That's the difference. The analytics department has to get all the ingredients, and they have to have a great chef like a Larry Boa to present it to the players so they can go out and perform.
Now, let me just get one thing straight to everybody watching. I have a small, modest home. I go to ShopRite myself. There's no chef. There's no Whole Foods because I don't have that kind of money. I go to the frozen food aisle in ShopRite. So stop
and the
spreading lies.
The helicopter?
The helicopter, that ESPN picked that up. I didn't know where I was.
Oh, man. I love it.
Wow.
It was a lot to unpack.
Wow, it is. It is. I'm glad it's almost the end of the inning. I don't know what to believe anymore.
Oh, man.
When's the last time you were in a supermarket? Honestly, you walking down with a carriage in the supermarket.
I went to...
Without one of your people doing it.
No, by the way, I walked into Trader Joe's about a month and a half ago.
You got lost?
I actually put it on my Instagram. No, I didn't, but I actually like going to the supermarket.
Really?
It was nice. You meet nice people, healthy food. It was cool. I'm going back. I'm going back.
I want to go with you. We'll take a crew with us.
Oh, man.
There's some fibs being told. Grounded to first.
Oh, boy.
And that'll do it. We'll talk about ShopRite and Whole Foods, the whole deal when we get
Helicopters.
back. Well, bring your friends to the one spot with all of your favorite free MLB games. Play the hits with Beat the Streak, Quick Pick, and more. Visit MLB.com/play and download MLB Play today. All right, here's where we stand. 2-2-0 for the Padres, 0-2-0 for the Braves. Elder did not pitch well. 3 innings, 2 hits, an error, an earned run, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. And San Diego, Yu Darvish has done very, very well. Elder's still in there trying to straighten it out, but boy, the Padres missed that guy. Fernando Tatis Jr. And he's 24 years old. No, I think he might even be younger.
23, I thought.
He's 23, and he signed to a long-term contract by the Padres. Now, earlier we put up a QR code for you to vote for the best players 24 or younger. And let's see how the voting is. These are the players that you voted on. Obviously, the Rays, Wander Franco, the youngest at 21. Juan Soto seems like he's been around forever. He's 23 years old. So you saw the QR code. That's how you can vote. And the 3-1. And here are the results of the voting. So I don't know what Acuna Jr. has 245. Oh, that's a percent, is 24%. All right, so Vlad Jr., they agree with you. 29%. Now, that could be recency bias because he just had that great game at Yankee Stadium. But the very next day, Alex, he had 4 strikeouts. That's how hard this game is.
That's baseball, Michael.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
Now, Tatis, obviously out of sight, out of mind. He's not playing right now, so he got the 16% right there. You know, he got hurt with the motorcycle, and Bob Melvin said it's a learning moment for him. They didn't come down on him. They didn't try to void his contract. But there's stuff in players' contracts that you can't do, right?
Yeah, and look, the Padres probably had a pretty good case if they wanted to go after that contract. Look, I got to New York because Booney was playing basketball. Aaron Boone was playing basketball and got hurt. And that's when I received the call. So as a player, I think Bob Melvin is exactly right. Tatis with a world of talent, only 23. This is a great learning opportunity and a great lesson, hopefully, that he can carry for the next, he's got 14 years in his contract and the second year of it.
And it goes back to a pitcher named Jim Lomborg with the Boston Red Sox, a great pitcher, and he broke his leg skiing. And after that, teams got very, very nervous, and they put this whole list of things that you could not do. You can't ski, you can't play basketball, nothing where you could get hurt and really, really set yourself back. And the Padres are not trying to retrieve any of the money. They let Tatis do it. And
nice
he
play
should
here
be
by
back
Riley.
in 3 weeks. 3 months, I said.
Nice play here by Riley. Nice bunt, better play. But, Michael, I had all those same provisions in my contract. It always stood out to me that Cal Ripken had written in all his contracts that he can actually play basketball. And that's because he had a beautiful farm in Maryland, 27 acres. I went there many times to play basketball. I was so excited because, Cal's my guy, my favorite player. And here I got to play basketball with him. In the middle of a streak, Michael, I didn't want to touch him because God forbid you're the guy that, like Aaron Boone, that gets him hurt. They'll be finding you in Baltimore.
Did he play hard?
He played hard. He played well. And he had an A league, a B league, and a C league, and I played in the C league. But the A players, you had some former NBA, a lot of college basketball players, former college basketball players, and he built an incredible basketball court at his house with a gym, with a locker room. It was a great setup.
I think Tim Kurchin used to play.
That's right.
Very good.
That's right.
Very good guard, Timmy.
Like Bob Cousy.
Yeah. Now, speaking of basketball.
Hey.
The Minnesota Timberwolves, that was a big, big win against Memphis.
It was a big win. Let's not get too excited. We have, 3 more to go here. It's a long series, but I was so impressed in Memphis with that arena, with the fans. They were so passionate. They were loud, but they were very classy. And I was sitting with my partners, Mark and Glenn and Becky Taylor, and they treated us like prince and princesses. It was great. And, excited for Game 2 on Tuesday.
Our very own Richard Jefferson said, he tweeted out, while the Timberwolves steal one, from the Memphis Grizzlies, and longtime columnist and Hall of Famer Peter Vesey said, they didn't steal anything. They seized that game. That was a game that your team really wanted, and Edwards played great.
Edwards played great. Cat had a nice comeback. Towns came back with a good comeback game from a little bit of a struggling game in the playing game. Bounced back nicely, and the bench played really well. But it was, Anthony's coming out party. And I tell you, Chris Finch, who you would love, loves baseball. Mike, our assistant coach, these guys love baseball. They're always talking about baseball. And you will love Finch. He's your type of guy. Old school. Reminds me a little bit of Don Mattingly, like that type of, Midwest kind of tough, but very humble guy.
Now, what's tougher, playing in a World Series game or watching the team that you own play?
Oh, there's no question. There's nothing. Well, I guess watching my little girls play or at Broadway in high school or junior high, that's probably, as nervous. But watching a basketball game, and I sit there with my partner, Mark Laurie, and it's just very nervous and a lot of anxiety. You can't do anything, right? When you're playing, you can at least come up to bat, you can make a play, but watching is pretty helpless.
I've talked to, our mutual friend, Al Leiter, who was watching his son Jack, who's in the minors for the Texas Rangers. He'll be in the big league soon.
Stud.
And he said, I feel more pressure watching him pitch than pitching in the 7th game of the World Series, which he did, and pitched well for the Marlins to win a championship. He said, I can't do anything for him. On the mound, it's me. It's what I do. But it must be tough.
That's saying something, because Al Leiter looked like he was very nervous and very excited. We're talking about a great pitcher. And again, Al Leiter's a borderline Hall of Famer. He's right there. He's a winning guy. He was one of the guys that gave me the toughest times because he had that devastating cutter, and I just could not hit it. He gave Vladimir, guys that were right-handed with power that were tall. He just chewed us up. And again, his son, like Vladimir Jr., has an opportunity to be better than his Hall of Fame. This young man is filthy. He's not lefty, he's righty, but he looks like a stud. He's a good-looking kid. And Michael, I love the press conference. When you hear him talk, he's so confident, smart, and poised.
Grounded to Swanson. He's getting the force at third. Heads up play by Swanson, 2 away.
Michael, talking about analytics, we have a guy in Patrick Beverly who's the anti-analytic guy. If the analytics department look at a guy like Beverly, nice play there by Swanson, you would say, well, I can find a guy that shoots better arc, better footwork, but you can't measure heart and hustle. And the other one I can't say on TV, but he has it all.
Onions,
yeah.
Right.
And he's changed the complexion of our team. And there's guys, Johnny Damon did that to the 2009 Yankees. And, Paul O'Neill when he came from Cincinnati. There's guys like got Chipper Jones for the Braves. There's guys like that go beyond analytics, and that's what you have to watch for. You always have to praise what do you have in your farm system and in your roster before you worry about the other 29 teams.
The one time I think that you make analytics uncomfortable is things they can't measure, they can't quantify. And you can't measure heart. You just can't, or desire. It works out of trouble. There's been a lot of traffic on the bases for the Padres, but they have just 2 runs. We're going to go to the bottom of the 4th inning. We have so much more to come here on KayRod. Padres 2, Braves nothing. Predict who will dominate the 2022 season. You could win $100,000 worth of Bitcoin or cash with MLB Season Pick'em, presented by FTX. View rules and enter at MLB.com/Season Pick'em. A lot of signs of Easter at the ballpark. And speaking of that, there was a player once called Luke Easter. And boy, did he have power. Played in the Negro Leagues from 47 to 48. Homestead Grays All-Star. First player to hit a home run to center field at the Polo Grounds. That was 480 feet out there. Played with the Indians from 49 through 54. 93 homers, 340 ribbies. And inducted into the International League Hall of Fame. And I also have this nugget. He hit long home runs, and they were called Easter eggs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Creative.
Yep, absolutely. Remember Jimmy Reese, the old coach with the California Angels and the Anaheim Angels? He always just hit fungos, and he worked with Babe Ruth and everything.
Yeah.
He said Luke Easter is the closest thing he ever saw to Babe Ruth, but also held back in the Negro Leagues because of the fact the color barrier had not been broken yet. So Luke Easter.
Very cool.
All right, so we go to the bottom or the top of the fifth inning right now. We're going to talk to Brett Phillips, probably the most excitable guy in Major League Baseball in the next half inning. And he made a play during this week that's just one of the greatest plays you'll ever see. I don't want to give it away, though.
So you look at Darvish here, Michael. His first start, he was incredible. He was awful last start, and he's pretty darn good today. So it's been really good, bad, and so good. So far, so good today.
I had somebody in baseball tell me this weekend in Baltimore. He said, I don't think the Padres could ever win a World Series.
Wow.
And I said, why? He said, it's too nice a city. He said, there's no urgency to get to the ballpark. He said, it might be the most beautiful city in this country. He said, I just don't think that they could summon up the drive to win a World Series. I don't know if I agree, but it is a wonderful city.
I mean, was that a guy that you really respect?
I respect everybody, Alex. That's how I roll.
I love that. I love that. Well said. Well said. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree.
But it is a great city.
Incredible. One of my favorites. One of my favorites. And that stadium, they did a fantastic job. It has the bridge that connects to that hotel. We stayed in that hotel, Michael, when we went to play.
And they have a little beach in the outfield, too.
They do.
Yeah, they have a beach.
But I tell you, it's great to recruit players. Players love going there. I know Machado loves it. Hosmer loves it. And I've talked to a lot of players over the years.
Now, we have an Alex list right here. These are your top three: Anaheim, Boston, and Minnesota. Now, are you doing Minnesota because you're on the Timberwolves? I love Minneapolis.
Kinda.
I really do.
A little bit, but I've always loved going there, especially in the summertime. And, Michael, here's the truth. We played really well in Minnesota. And that probably had a lot to do with it. I used to love the Metrodome. We crushed there, especially when I was with the Mariners. One of my favorite players, growing up was Kirby Puckett. And I remember as a kid watching them win 2 championships over 3 years. That city was electric, and the Metrodome, like the Kingdom, one of the loudest places I've ever played in.
I actually covered the 87 and the 91 World Series as a writer, and I couldn't hear for days. It was the loudest I'd ever been.
Were you in high school? What out of 40?
87, I was 26.
And who were you writing for?
The Post.
Wow.
And then 91, I wrote for the News.
So you were single, writing for the Post.
Right.
Pretty good life, New York City.
Yeah. Yeah, sports writers just made a load of money, Alex. I was just rolling.
No, but you guys were like the Rat Pack. You had Joe Sherman, John Heyman.
Yeah.
You had Bob.
Tom Verducci. Bob Clappish, yeah.
They don't make them like they make them anymore. I mean, you guys were almost part of the game. And you guys all loved the game. You respected the game. And there's another wave like Tyler Kepner who came after you guys and all that. But that group, even when I was in Seattle and Texas, I always respected like the Rat Six. I mean, you guys were like 6, 7, 8 that were really respected, really smart, and also great writers.
I have to give slack to the people that cover the game now because baseball, like football, has become very homogenized.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Everybody's doing the same thing. You can't go into the manager's office. I would sit there with Billy Martin for an hour and a half, Buck Showalter 3 hours, and just talk baseball. Now they bring the manager into a press conference room, and they give you a microphone to ask a question. You really can't. I say the 4 years that Buck Showalter was there, it was like a master's class in baseball. I learned more from him than I've ever learned from anybody else because it was every single day. And here's the story. John Sterling, I was doing the radio with then, and he didn't want to get to the ballpark at noon for night game to do the manager's report. And Buck wanted to do it early.
Yeah.
But you'd get there at noon, and you'd sit there for 4 hours before Buck would do it.
That's great.
But then he would just tell you stories, and he saw the game in a different way. I know that's why you respect him so much.
I love it, and if you spend time around Lou Piniella, it was the same way. Probably Billy Martin and a lot of the Dick Williams, who was a '84 manager of the Padres. Bobby Cox, another guy that you can just sit around and learn, and Snicker, who learned a lot from Bobby Cox. I think there's a little bit of a lost art, and look, it's tough for them. Also, let me give you what's tough for the players too. In a world of social media and Twitter, right, you are terrified to have a conversation. There is no such thing as off the record. Michael, if you said all the things that managers, coaches, and players told you in your career, that'd be the best sold book in America, right? Because those were the days where off the record actually meant something. Today, I mean, they go shoot later, verify. They shoot now, verify later.
But I would hope that writers today, if you tell them this is off the record, they're not going to tweet it out. I would hope.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a version of that, but you have the vehicle called Twitter that you can put it in real time, and there's a lot of room for error there.
Yeah, there is. Absolutely. Brett Phillips might be the most excitable player in all of baseball. He enjoys the game. We'll enjoy him next. Welcome back to KayRod. Let's go back to Monday. This one isn't this week, but this is him pitching. This is Brett Phillips pitching. All kind of gyrations, drop the ball. That's a balk. And the thing I love about Brett Phillips, and I wanted to have him on today, is he just looks like he loves the game. He enjoys the game. He takes an unbelievable pride in being a big leaguer. And we welcome Brett in. And boy, that sweatshirt says it all, Brett. Baseball is fun. You actually do have fun out there, right?
Fellas, how we living?
We're living good. How about you?
Man, like every day's Thanksgiving. I'm blessed. I'm thankful. Thanks for having me on. You know, you talk about fun. You hit the nail on the head. I'm just so blessed, so grateful. Man, he skied that one. Is that what they call a big league pop-up? I wouldn't know.
That is a big league pop. Yeah. That might hit the rings at Tropicana Field, that one.
Yeah, you might have. Alex, how we doing, man?
What's up, Brett? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Looks like you guys are you guys on a couch right now? It's a nice little
Couple
setup you got
chairs,
going
yeah.
on.
Yeah, we just ordered some pizza, so I'm starving. And
Did you get a side of ranch?
This poor guy started his day early today, probably around 8 o'clock in the morning, did the Yankee game, got in a helicopter, and now he's here on the couch. I don't know how he does it.
That's nice, because it's fun. That's why, Brett. Baseball is fun.
Hey, I love it. I love it. You got to enjoy it to be grinding like that.
Tell me about Monday when you came in to pitch against the A's, and obviously you pitched, but the play that you made off the mound, I think is one of the greatest plays I've ever seen a quote-unquote pitcher make.
I got a text from Adam Wainwright, and he goes, "Hey, you're making us pitchers look bad with that play." And I said, "Listen, we all know the expression that pitchers are athletes. I was just trying to prove that statement to be true."
Now, you also did the pop-up at the end of and there's a story behind why you do that pop-up.
That right there, the 2 outs?
No,
Or
you made the slide and then you popped up right away. It was about a water flume when you were a kid?
I haven't heard this. What?
That you were going down a water flume as a kid and you knew that once you got down to the bottom, you had to pop up because there was somebody right behind you.
Yes, the slip and slide. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I've never heard of a water flume. That's that's a new
That's
term.
a South Bronx term.
Yeah, the slip and slide. Once you go down the slip and slide, someone's coming behind you. You got to pop up and get ready to go back in line, or you're gonna get taken out. We all know the rules.
Hey, Brett, I got a good one for you. So you went to Seminole High School, right?
Yes, sir.
Westminster
Yes, sir.
Christian in high school, we used to play Seminole all the time. But that's not my question. My question is a funny one, where when you were a kid, you would come home, your next door neighbor was Randy Macho Man Savage, who was one of my favorites, right? He was absolutely out of his mind. And he would make you play basketball with him, you take your lickings. Tell me about your experience with Macho Man, and how was that?
Oh man, I'm really glad you brought him up. R.I.P. Mr. Savage. What a great neighbor. What a great guy. I didn't really know how popular Randy was until he passed away. I didn't watch wrestling growing up. I did not know Macho Man Randy Savage as a wrestler. I knew him as Randy Poffo, the neighbor who always wanted to play basketball. I rode my bike to school, and after every day, he'd be out there shooting hoops, and he'd be like, he still talked like, "Maverick, hey, get over here. Let's play some basketball." It is. Good piece of. And so, I went over there about every day to play horse with him. We never did one-on-one. It was just more like horse or pig, depending on how much time I had, because he would be out there till it got dark. And I'm telling you what, Alex, some days he would be like, "We're playing again. We're playing again. We're playing again." And he would beat me every single time. And I'd be like, "Hey, Mr. Randy, like, I'm sorry, I have to go eat dinner." And, he'd be like, "All right." He'd be like, "All right, I'll see you tomorrow." And sure enough, he'd be out there. Really cool. I washed his car every Wednesday. He threw me $40 every Wednesday. It was super cool. But talk about a great human being, a sweetheart. Did a lot for our family. And just a good
right
dude.
here, Brett. They're making a pitching change. We'll come back. Hopefully you can stay with us. We're talking with Brett Phillips of the Tampa Bay Rays, and we're watching the KayRod cast on ESPN. One of the reasons you have to love Brett Phillips is something that happened earlier in this month, April 12th. Little Chloe threw out the first pitch, but listen and watch what happens next.
Who's your favorite player?
Brett Phillips.
And why?
Because he has the best smile. He's always having fun, and I like how he does his airplane.
We're also thankful for the Tampa Bay Rays. They were there the first time. They come on the floor. They bring us coffee.
Chloe, do you know what just happened?
Phillips just hit a home run.
Now, Brett, a little Chloe is a battler. She's battling cancer. That had to make you choke up and get goosebumps as you were rounding the bases.
Yeah, that was a super special moment. You know, that was the first time. Nice double play there. Wow. You know, that was the first time I had gotten to meet Chloe, and I'm really glad that I've been blessed with the opportunity to meet her, because, you know, she puts things in perspective, and I'm looking forward to crossing paths with her again here soon.
I'm going to come back in just a moment. Double play ends the inning, so they go to the right pitcher in the bullpen, and it's still 2-0 Padres. We're talking with Brett Phillips of the Rays. Come on back. We are back at Petco Park, where the Padres behind Yu Darvish leading 2-0 over the defending world champion Atlanta Braves. So we are starting the 6th inning, and we're also talking with the Tampa Bay Rays, Brett Phillips. Brett, I'm going to take you back to Game 4 of the World Series in 2020. I'm sitting at home watching it, and you get that hit, and then you do the airplane run, and maybe I'm getting soft in my old age. I get choked up and I almost feel like crying. What was that like for you? Do you think about that every single day?
You know, to this day, I still am so amazed that I had made contact. I'm being completely honest. Like, we all know the circumstances, right? I hadn't gotten at bat in 2 weeks. I hadn't had a hit in a month. And I came off the bench. I wasn't even supposed to get an at bat in that World Series, and I was cool with that because I was on the roster to play defense and to pinch run. And you know, if you go back and watch that game, we used everyone we could, and it was like, oh man, like Phillips is our last guy. So, and you know, after making contact and seeing the ball go out into the outfield, and then we all know what happened next. It good piece of hitting right there. It was It's awesome. It's really cool and humbling to have a moment in my career and in history, like it being the most unlikely play of all time or whatnot. I'm cool with that. All right. Like, even though we didn't win the World Series, you got to give credit where credit is due to the Dodgers. I'm really glad and I'm really thankful to have a moment like that because it's propelled my career and my confidence and on to like another level. You look at last year, 2021, I've had the best season of my career so far, and I give a lot of credit to that one moment of the World Series. So it's just really cool.
Hey, Brett, good stuff all the way around. Like Florida, as we know, is on fire. People flocking down there by the hundreds of thousands of people. But Tampa, the last few years, you have the Lightning winning the Stanley Cup. You have the Bucks winning Super Bowls, and you guys going to the World Series. It's been remarkable. How's the energy in Tampa been the last few years for you there?
You know, there's no reason we're known as Champa Bay, baby. It's been awesome. You know, I'm born and raised St. Petersburg, Florida. That's my hometown, right outside of Tampa. So it's really cool to see the amount of love that we're getting. That ball was hit a mile. Holy cow, foul?
Foul ball.
Foul ball. Yeah, so, you know, I'm really proud of our city in Tampa. I'm a little biased, but it's been cool to see the amount of love that we're getting, and rightfully so. You know, Tom Brady comes down from New England, and he puts the Buccaneers literally on his back. He puts Tampa Bay on his back and brings love for football back to the city. And then you see what the Lightning have been doing the past couple years, and now with the Rays as well. It's been exciting times.
I want to hit you with this, Brett, because I love the way you wear your heart on your sleeve. You don't hide the fact how much you love your life and you love the game of baseball. And I've been covering baseball for 31 years. And guys like you, sometimes players want to be cool and they don't like when guys show how happy they are. Do you ever get any grief from teammates or other players for being so euphoric?
Michael, thank you very much for asking that. You know, I struggled when I first got drafted and went into professional baseball. It was my first time getting a taste of the egos, the amount of, you know, how do I say, the cockiness, so to say. But well, can we revisit this when we come back? Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah,
we'll hold it right there, Brett, and we'll come right back because I want to hear the answer to this. I've always wondered what you go through with it, so we'll come back on KayRod. Bottom of the 6th inning at Petco Park, and the Padres lead the Braves 2-0. We're talking with Brett Phillips of the Tampa Bay Rays. And Brett, you were just answering the question about somebody who shows the emotion and the joy. I wonder how the veteran players that sometimes are too cool for school, how you were accepted.
Yeah, I just recognized what I saw around me was different from what they were showing everyone else with the media and stuff like that. And to me, it was mixed reviews, right? And I never want to come across as being someone I'm not, or, showing the media or showing one side and then someone else being like, well, that's not who you are, in the clubhouse. So that's something I recognized early on. And I just always try and be the same person, love and respect everyone, set my ego aside. And I really do. I am each and every day. I say I'm so grateful to be a Major League Baseball player. It's the truth. And I never want someone to think I'm taking this for granted.
Does anybody ever pass by? Does a day ever pass by where somebody doesn't do the airplane to you?
It's great. The fans in Tampa, they'll see me out to dinner and they'll airplane by me. They'll give me a head nod. But just super cool to be known for something like that. Is just, it's awesome.
Well, Brett, we thank you for coming on, spending part of your Easter with us. We really, really appreciate it. Keep smiling, keep doing what you do, and thank you for coming on.
Happy Easter.
Hey, happy Easter, guys. Always a pleasure. Thanks for doing what y'all do for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That's Brett Phillips, and he really does enjoy himself.
I want to know how you can be so happy. I feel like you and I are pretty happy people, but that is another level of happiness.
Right.
I'm going to spend some time with Brett. That's
well,
awesome.
I need him because I'm usually miserable. Yeah, the happiness part is an act. I mean, let's be honest here. Brett just told me, be honest.
That's so true.
One away.
That is impressive. That's like the metaverse of happiness. I mean, I'm pretty miserable all the time too.
Yeah, I'd like to bottle that.
We have no reason.
You know what?
I feel grateful at times and all that,
and that's why we should be embarrassed.
We should be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Brett, you're a great man.
Well, these teams are swinging at pitches like they've got dinner reservations, and the game's just flying by. We have a lot more to talk about.
Getaway day.
Yes. That does happen.
You have a 4-game series, Michael. The last game, when you look at a 4-game series and the last game is Sunday Night Baseball, it feels like a marathon. And usually you play a 3-game series and Sunday, 1 o'clock, like you guys in Baltimore, and you're off. The 4th game, and when it's nighttime, you're just like, now you're just, let's move on to the next game.
So there's 2 down.
Sunday nights were always great to play, though, Michael. And look, we played at the Yes Network, and we had a huge audience, right? But Sunday Night Baseball, you have a big game, and you have the whole entire country. You have every player watching, families watching. And I used to always like having big games on Sundays because you get a bunch of texts after the game, and everybody's saying, oh, I saw you, great job, team looks good, Mariano was nasty. So you get a lot of, almost like 5 or 6 times more texts on Sunday Night Baseball than a regular night.
And I also believe that players probably like it more now that it's been moved to 7 o'clock rather than 8.
Oh, that's huge. That is huge.
And the Yankees always got put on, and it's still the same way, they got put on Sunday Night Baseball, so they'd be getting in very late on Mondays all the time.
That's right.
Well, this guy, C.J. Abrams, everybody asks A.J. Preller, the GM of the Padres, about everybody. He is one of the top-ranked prospects in all of baseball. He's filling in a lot at shortstop with Tatis out. And he's probably here a little bit earlier than they want him to be.
But that's okay. When you have guys like Hosmer and Machado, and even Tatis, he's young, but he feels more like a veteran because of his star power. It's a completely different way to come up in the big leagues when you have that surrounding cast versus you being the savior and being the young guy who's supposed to save everything. Thank goodness for me, I had the great cast around me to help me develop.
Number 6 overall pick in the 2019 draft. Number 4 baseball prospect, according to Kylie McDaniel. Number 4 in the whole country, hit first career home run Thursday against Atlanta. First game of this series.
And nice way to start your career. First game at home to hit a bomb. Pretty good start.
And his first was off a brand name, Charlie Morton. Who was your first offer?
Another brand name, Flash Gordon. Yeah, at the Kingdom.
Breaking ball or fastball?
3-2 curveball.
Yeah?
3-2 curveball.
Here's that home run. Oh, he went the other way with it.
Apple Taco. And boy, he can run. He's a good-looking player. You know, when he swings and runs that way, it reminds me of a young Willie McGee, and then he got the silent treatment.
Oh, I hate that. I hate it. Just ruined his best moment ever.
You know, when you just hit a home run the other way, you know, you pretty, it's forgiven. All is good. I love guys, Michael, that you would play with, and I'm not going to mention any names, but you sit with them in the same place, right, for 7 innings, and they don't say a word. They're 0 for 3, a couple ground outs, and a punchy. Then they hit a home run, and they do not want to shut up. They become the chattiest person in the world, and it's like the bat is connected to the mouth.
Wow. I've always wondered what the conversation is about, because you always see people talking a lot after they hit a home run. Are they telling you what they hit?
Yeah.
The pitch sequence, everything?
They're telling you what they hit.
Right.
They're telling you what they were thinking. They're telling you how they got set up on that pitch. They're telling you, did you see that? Did you see that? Did it sound good? Where'd that ball land? Where'd that ball? I mean, you hear the craziest conversations going back and forth. And you just have to be a good listener because you just hit a home run.
Did you do that when you hit home runs?
I mean, I think everyone gets a little chatty. I wasn't over the top, but if you hit 2 bombs, then I got really chatty.
Who was the biggest chatty Cathy that you played with?
I mean, Swisher was a pretty chatty guy all the time, right?
Even without a home run.
But if he did hit home runs, and he had a big year with us, I think he had 30 bombs one year, he brought a lot of energy, a lot of joy, but boy, was he chatty. You know you're really chatty when guys start walking to the other side of the dugout.
Boy, Strider really throws hard.
Yes, he does.
He's hit 100 a couple of times. Well, the Padres have been up. Pretty impressive stuff.
You know, the game's flown by, Michael, and the shadows were part of it. Now it's starting to be a little bit better for hitters. So expect the last 2 innings to get some runs up on the board.
Well, 2 straight walks, putting runners on first and second.
You're starting to see better at-bats, better takes, more walks. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a home run here in the next inning or 2.
You know, just saw a shot there of Brian Snitker. It's one of the great stories. The time that he spent in the minors, riding buses, never thinking he was going to get the opportunity. And then he finally did, and they win a World Series. And he realized all of his dreams, his family would move for him constantly, have to pack up. So much is left on the wife. And this is a baseball lifer right there.
I love Snitker. I like his history. I love his passion. And I love what the Braves organization have done. I mean, if you look at it, they've had 3 number 3 hitters for the last 40 years. You have Dale Murphy, Chipper Jones, and Freddie Freeman. And you've basically had 2 managers for that same time, Bobby Cox and now Snitker. And they love tradition. They lean into it. They have an incredible general manager in Alex Anthopoulos. And the Braves have it all working. They could be the team to repeat since the 99 Yankees, 2000 Yankees. Just love guys when they pay their dues, right? And there's a humility about them. There's a history. There's a grit. And young players, I mean, sometimes young players like me, we came up so quickly that you don't get to really appreciate what it takes, the hard work. And with guys like Snitker, guys like Lou Piniella, again, Felix Fermin, guys that you can learn that grit through experience and through leadership.
He's all over the place right now. Count 2-1. Yeah, you think that about a kid like, you know, you came up when you were a teenager. Did you really appreciate what you were in the middle of? Because that's all you knew.
I think I did appreciate it, Michael, because I was such a big fan. I was a nerd. I mean, ever since I was a young kid, I watched so many games. I really appreciated, understood the game. But also, I think having a guy like Rich Hoffman, who was my high school coach, he was kind of like a Coach K or John Wooden. He had been there 35 years, and he really taught me the right way to play baseball.
Swanson with a nice play, and they work into and out of trouble. You've heard about Stephen Kwan. He hardly swings and misses. He's had a great start for the Indians. He joins us in just a moment right here on KayRod. Welcome back to the KayRod cast, and we're about to talk to Stephen Kwan. Boy, did he announce himself to the big leagues. Everything he hit seemed like it was a base hit. It was just an amazing beginning to his major league career, and the Indians had to love it. He's becoming a favorite in the Guardians, I'm sorry. He's becoming a favorite in Cleveland, and what we want to do here on KayRod throughout the year is be able to highlight some of the young players that are bursting upon the scene, and Stephen is nice enough to join us now. Stephen, how has it been? Has it been a whirlwind for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think whirlwind's a great word for it. It's been unbelievable, obviously, living out your dream, but, I mean, I could have never imagined it would be anything like this so far.
Tell me about your innate ability to make contact with the baseball in a sport that doesn't care if you strike out 200 times. How do you do it?
Yeah, like I think those guys who do strike out 200 times, they have the ability to hit it out of the ballpark. And obviously, me not being too big of a guy, I don't have that luxury. So I have to find a way to impact it in other ways. And luckily for me, my way was just kind of put the bat on the ball and then use my legs and see what happens.
Stephen, you're my kind of player. Contact. I think contact wins championships, and I love the style of play. You grew up in Northern California. You picked Oregon State. You got a fly ball here.
That's a see you.
That is a see you, Michael. We talked about a home run maybe coming up, and there it is. But, Stephen, 2018, you won the championship at Oregon State. Northern California, why did you pick Oregon State, and how much fun was it coming out of a program like that?
Well, Oregon State was the only one that offered me. And I remember getting that offer and talking to my mom and dad in the hallway and looking at them and being like, I don't think it's going to get much better than this. So it was the first one and done. So it was real simple. But that was definitely the most special time of my life by far. Those are my brothers. I grew as a man, and that was just the perfect time of my life, I think.
Now, you kind of made the Guardians out of spring training. Did you think you had a chance to make the team?
No, not in my wildest dreams again. I just wanted to make a good impression, and hopefully I could make my way up during the year. But luckily, some things worked out, and I ended up making the team.
Now, Tito Francona, who's one of my favorites and coached me when I was in Texas, he played a little prank on you. He brought you into the office, and he started getting into this really sad story. And then he said, by the way, have you forgiven him for that little prank? And can you tell us about it?
Yeah. No, it was really kind of a somber start to it. He said, I remember him saying it. He was like, "Hey, just sit down real quick. This won't be too long." And I'm like, "Oh, geez, like that's not a good start." And I went to go shake his hand. He gave me nugs. I'm like, "Yeah, this is bad." So I went to go sit down, and he starts it off with, "Hey, so we're really sorry it took this long, but we really appreciate all your hard work. Just kind of being nice and trying to let me down easy." And then all of a sudden, like a 180, he's like, "Well, damn it, you made the team," and like an instant blackout from there. So. I've definitely forgiven him. I think I can let that one slide, but that was a roller coaster of emotions for sure.
What's that like when they say you've made the team? This is what you're working for your whole life. I mean, do you get emotional? Are you in shock? What's it like?
Yeah, I think shock's a good one. Like I said, I blacked out. Like I don't even remember the next words he said after that. I think I came back to reality when he said, "Who you calling first?" And I told him I was going to call my mom, but I would think about calling my dad, but he's not going to hear the ringtone, and he's always with my mom, so. Called mom first, and that's kind of when it started settling in.
Did she cry?
She screamed. They were in the car, and she screamed like she got into a car accident. So that was pretty funny. But she was just as surprised as I was, if not more.
I agree with that. There's nothing like when a manager tells you you're coming north. It's something that same thing for me. I love that. Stephen, I want to talk a little bit about your contact. You saw 116 pitches before swinging and missing in the major leagues. My question to you is, growing up in Northern Cal, I think about guys like, Brett Butler. I think about Bill Miller, who played for the Giants. Who were guys that you modeled yourself after?
Yeah, one of my favorite players growing up was Ichiro. He was obviously a big contact guy, a lot of hits. He had kind of some of that juice, but, he prided himself on just helping his team by getting on base, and that's kind of where I go. I think I'm hitting in front of the best player in baseball with Jose Ramirez. So if I get on base, he's going to find a way to get it. If not him, it's going to be Franmil. All I got to do is get on base, and I'm in scoring position.
Now, this Guardian team might surprise some people. Obviously, they've traded away some of their stars. They lost Lindor in a trade because they wouldn't be able to sign him. But then they kind of pick everybody up by signing Ramirez to a long-term extension. What's your outlook on this Guardian team?
Yeah, I think we're really young. I think we got a lot of talent, but I think it's kind of cheesy to say, but there's a lot of good culture kind of going around. Like, all the guys are pulling for each other. I heard a lot in pro ball that it's like very selfish. It's very like you got to get yours, and it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. But like, truly is like the coaches are pulling for you. A lot of the players are pulling for each other. Like I said, we're young, so I think kind of having that really strong nucleus is gonna take us far if we can put it together.
Was there anybody that you've seen so far that you were, you had to check yourself and you were in awe of the fact that you were on the field with that person?
Yeah, my first at bat was pretty jarring. I was already pretty nervous, heart beating out of my chest, and I like to say hi to the catcher and the umpire, and so I say hi to Salvador Perez, and he stares right back into my soul. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm really here. So then I look up at the plate. To the pitcher, and Zach Greinke's just like getting ready for this at bat. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really here right now. Like that was kind of like the grounding effect. Like I'm really here to do this. So that was a very humbling moment for sure.
Now, I read somewhere that you used to go to Giant games in San Francisco. Did you slide down into the glove?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Slide down the glove.
How many times?
Did the little, as much as my dad would let me until he started getting annoyed. That was always really fun. They had a little Build-A-Bear field out there, and then they had a little, like a little speed pitching thing. And they'd have, at the 7th inning, they'd always see who had the fastest throwing speed. And so they'd always have your age group down. So I'd always try to throw the fastest ball and get back in the 7th inning. And I'd always get like a cool little baseball card. I remember getting like a random like Shea Hillenbrand baseball card or like a Juan Uribe baseball card, thinking that was the coolest thing. So Giants games have a very fond memory with me.
Hey, Steven, is there one or two guys out there that you're looking forward to meeting or facing, a stadium you're trying to go to? What are some of the things you're looking forward to?
Well, I already kind of had my fanboy moment with the Giants this spring training. I got to see Brandon Crawford, and he's a local Bay Area guy as well. So I was able to say like, hey, like I'm a local guy. I just want to say like big fan. You're the GOAT of the Bay Area. And then with this last series, we played the Giants, and I got to first base, and I said the same thing to Brandon Belt. And I also mentioned that I'm kind of bummed out that Buster Posey ended up retiring, but it was just those kind of things I'm pretty starstruck with. I'm also excited to see the Coliseum. I think we play them at the end of the month, so that'll be really cool to see Oakland.
That might be the first guy who said that in the last 20 years.
Well, that's what we get at KayRod, first of a lot of things.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned about the cards that you would get at the ballpark. Have you seen your card yet?
I don't think I have a baseball card, to be honest.
Well,
I think I have
one.
I hope so. I think I got one from like my high A days in Lynchburg, and then one in Akron, but I don't think I have like a big name baseball card yet.
What's that going to mean to you?
That'll be cool for sure. I don't think it's I think it's kind of like a vanity thing at some point, but it'll be cool to kind of like, that'll be my permanent stamp, being like, even if it is a flash in the pan, I was in the bigs and they got a picture of me on a card, so that'll be pretty cool.
Now, because you went as Alex said, the 116 times without a swing and a miss, which is the longest streak to start a career, according to the Elias Sports Bureau. Was there ever a point, Steven, when you said, this is not as difficult as I thought?
No, gosh, no. No, I would never take anything like that for granted. Major league pitchers are good. They're very good. And I was very much humbled so the day when I lost it. Nick Lodolo had a gross slider. And I've seen him a couple of times in spring training because we share that spring training complex. But that guy was nasty. The next day we faced Carlos Rodon with the Giants. That guy's nasty. And I remember kind of coming back and being like, wow, big league pitchers are pretty good. What a concept.
Let's see if this is, could it keep the inning alive as it goes to the wall? So this is going to be a double, and that'll put the tying run in scoring position for the Braves. The Padres lead 2-1. So you grew up a Giant fan. You like Ichiro. Anybody on the East Coast that you admired?
East Coast. When Ichiro went to the Yankees, that was pretty cool. I guess I've just been a West Coast kind of guy. Just kind of watched a lot of baseball on the West Coast. I don't know if I had a lot of East Coast role models growing up.
Well, good stuff. I know you probably listened to Kruk and Kipe a lot as well. We obviously wish you great luck as you go through this first season, and just an unbelievable start for you. Steven, thank you for spending part of your Easter with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me. Hope you have a good one.
Be good. All right, the viewers have spoken, and let's take a look at some of the feedback that we've gotten today. I wonder if it's more hate. All right, this is from Benjamin Cure. That sequence from KayRod talking about veteran leadership within Major League Baseball teams and their role was invaluable insight. How about that, Alex?
Thank you, Benjamin. There's more where that came from.
All right, let's see what else we have. This is from PGJ50. Didn't think I would like the KayRod cast because I didn't like the Manning cast, but I'm warming up to it. I'll say this, I don't know if I'd watch Sunday Night Baseball if the Yankees are on playing, but I might now because of the KayRod cast. Come on, guys, it can't be all that good. Joe McCoy, our producer, show me something bad. Oh, this might stop it. I'd rather listen to my mom call me right now and tell me I was adopted and she never really loved me than listen to Alex Rodriguez commentate a baseball game. Well, Danny, your mom's on the phone right now, so why don't you pick up? We're going to go to break as you take that very difficult phone call, Danster. We'll be back right here on the KayRod Cast. Well, stream out-of-market regular season games live or on demand, plus MLB Big Inning and select pregame and postgame coverage, blackout, and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Dogs having some fun at Petco Field. Seeing a good ball game. It is 2-1 in favor of the Padres. So we go to the 8th inning in San Diego. Final game of this 4-game set. Well, it's the bottom of the 7th. I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a social experiment, Alex.
Okay.
Okay? So today is Easter. And a big part of Easter for kids is Peeps.
Okay.
Now, I know that you only eat the best food, but I want to see Alex Rodriguez eat a peep, okay? Here they are. I opened it.
By the way, I just shoved 2 slices of pizza down my mouth.
Well, you know, work out a little bit more. Here you go. Take a peep.
Here's a confession. I've never had one of these in my life.
It's going to change your life.
Okay, so
I'll eat it at the
how do
same
you
time.
eat it? How do you eat it?
You just take a bite. You don't have to
Have
shove
you
it.
had one before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Show me how.
I'm a human being.
All right. And do you suck it or do you swallow it?
You chew it a little bit and then swallow.
Kind of has a weird taste to it.
Now, QR code, what's the best Easter candy? You can scan our code to vote.
A lot of sugar.
A lot of sugar. Very sticky, sloppy. I don't think you've ever had one in your life. I don't think you'll ever have another.
No, but it's tasty. No,
It's very tasty.
Yeah. Maybe next Easter.
Yeah. All right.
Very good. Thanks, Michael.
I love it. We're going to get you into ShopRite soon. It's all happening.
Michael, we're getting some better contact. We had a home run. We had a nice double and another nice solid contact there. And this is what the hitters have been waiting 6 innings to get to this moment. So the most exciting part of the game should be here the last 3 innings.
Did you consider this a hitter's park?
No. Yes, pitcher's park.
Pitcher's park, not hitters.
Completely.
Okay.
And during the daytime, a little bit better because the ball jumps. But once it got cold, and even in the summertime, the ball just dies, much like Safeco Field up in Seattle.
You know, when you mentioned your favorite cities before, I was stunned at one omission. Now, you only had the top 3. Now, my favorite city, other than New York, in the whole world, not even in just this country, is Chicago.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nothing better. The people are great. The restaurants are great.
Yeah, what are your top 3?
I'd say Chicago, Boston. See, I don't like many things.
Well, and also, you're such a star, you don't make the West Coast trip sometimes.
No, I like Anaheim, but
it's too hot in Texas.
You know what I do love? I love Seattle. I wish it was in Rhode Island, so I didn't have to go 6.5 hours. But Seattle's a great town.
That's a good one.
Great town.
You know which one I love? I love Kansas City.
Another good town.
I love the plaza. I love the people.
See, you're just currying in favor with Jeff Passett, so he hammers me more when he comes on. No, Kansas City's nice.
Very nice. Underrated.
Another underrated city, Milwaukee.
You're on your own there.
Really?
Yeah.
I like Milwaukee.
You like Milwaukee?
Oh, yeah.
You know, Matt Vasgersian loves Milwaukee. He did some games there, and he said the same thing. But in fairness, I didn't get to go to Milwaukee too often because other league, and they weren't in my division.
Right.
But they have a great stadium. I do love that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
And great fans. You know, I started my career in Appleton, Wisconsin in 1994. And the fans, I mean, it's like Packers football.
Mm-hmm.
They were incredible.
That one is hit deep to right center, but the ballpark holds it, and the catch is made by Duvall for the second out.
Now, Michael, you asked me about a pitcher's park. If that same ball was hit at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock today, it's a home run. But because now it's getting a little bit colder, the sun's going down, there's a parachute that comes down, and that's exactly what you saw.
Now, you used to love to hit in Camden Yards, right?
Yes.
You should see what they've done to that ballpark. They made it deeper in left center field than Yankee Stadium.
I hate it. It looks like they destroyed one of my favorite parks in baseball.
They've made it a pitcher's park. It's impossible to hit the ball out. Impossible.
That's all.
I mean, people, the Orioles in batting practice were like throwing the bat down because fly balls that would have been like 10 rows deep are well short of the wall.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think for me, that's always been one of the greatest parks in the game. I still remember when Griffey hit the wall, right? The warehouse out in, what was that, like mid-90s, 95,
I think it was
96?
93. It was right before the All-Star game, Home Run Derby. Yep.
And it's one of the most beautiful parks.
It's gorgeous.
And I don't like at all what they've done, but I only saw it on TV. You were there, so.
Now, I did hear, you're going to love this because I know analytics are your favorite. Analytics is why they did it. The front office said, how are we going to get free agent pitchers to ever sign here? if it's going to be a place where you're pitching in the American League East, there's going to be too many home runs. I would say a $30 million payroll might be why you don't.
That's what I was going to say. You got to spend more than $30 million to get anyone to go there.
But I guess you're thinking about what, when they finally get the young players coming up and they will have to spend for pitching.
But aren't they supposed to be selling that franchise? Or are they thinking about what future?
Don't know. I don't know. But it's such a drastic change, Alex. It will shock you.
Well, Michael, let me ask you. If you're spending $30 million a year and you're thinking about
total payroll, by the way.
Total payroll.
Right.
And you're thinking about, selling the franchise, wouldn't you want the new ownership to be able to make that call?
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting how you make. I'm okay with changes, but a drastic change like that. Michael, I thought you were playing a different team. When I saw it on TV, I'm like, it didn't even look like Camden Yards.
And not only that, Alex, the wall went from 7 feet 4 inches, where there were a lot of great catches against the wall, to 13 feet.
Wow. Unbelievable.
The 0-2 pitch, grounded foul. It would be like if the Red Sox ownership said, let's move the wall out to Lansdowne Street.
Yeah.
You take away the whole meaning of the ballpark.
Exactly. Now, what's your favorite ballpark besides Yankee Stadium?
I love Fenway. I love Camden Yards, and I love, I don't know what it's called anymore, the Cleveland Stadium.
Is it the Guardians?
Progressive, maybe?
Maybe Progressive.
Progressive, yeah.
Oh, by the way, Safeco's also not called Safeco, but I can't even keep up with.
I love Safeco. Safeco, to me, is the one ballpark that got it right with a dome. Because even when the roof is closed, it feels open.
T-Mobile.
Yeah, T-Mobile.
Now, I'm not saying this because of Minnesota. I really do love the stadium in Minnesota. I like Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, late time. Pitchers hate that.
Did you like Safeco or the old Safeco,
No,
or did you like Kingdome?
I loved the Kingdome. I hated T-Mobile.
Big.
Safeco, huge.
But
also,
beautiful.
And gorgeous, but I didn't care about that.
If they had stayed in the Kingdome, you would not be at 696 right now.
I probably would have stayed there.
I don't know about that.
Maybe not. Maybe not. In second thoughts.
Boy, that's a late swing, huh?
Yeah, Hosmer's grinding here, man.
(2-1). The Padres lead the Braves. We thank you for spending part of your Easter Sunday with us on the KayRod cast. Next game we have Mets and the Phillies in a couple of weeks.
Ooh.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Good one. Good one. Oh.
This will be the 11th pitch of the at-bat coming up. Sometimes when a hitter, it almost seems like it's self-defense right now. It's just staying alive, trying to get something.
Yeah.
You know what a bat like that? You remember it in the 2000 series, O'Neill against...
Yeah. Batista.
Yeah.
Not Batista.
Benitez.
Benitez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that changed the whole tenor of the whole World Series.
Absolutely. Grinding.
And he said he came up there, he knew he didn't have a chance. He just kept fouling pitches off and then worked a walk.
It also reminds me of another at-bat in '88. Look at that. Ooh.
Right at the shoe top, Swanson puts it away. We'll get to that at-bat in '88 in just a moment. So we have played 7 full innings at Petco Park. Hosmer lose that battle, but the Padres are winning this 2-1. Well, suit up this season at MLBshop.com. Check out the largest selection of authentic caps, T-shirts, collectibles, and more. Gear up with your favorite team at MLBshop.com. Take a look at the beautiful city of New York. That's where we are, South Street Seaport, Pier 17. We're in the 8th inning, and the Padres lead the Braves 2-1 in a good one. And we are going to be joined this half inning by a guy who joined us in the first KayRod cast, and that's Jeff Passan. And it shows you, Alex, what the executives here at ESPN think of me. Let's bring Passan back. He made fun of Michael.
Hard. He was tough. Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
I mean, I'm doing great now that I've been able to clean out my ears, which were bleeding after listening to Chris Russo talk about the unwritten rules. But aside from that, I'm fantastic. And listen, Michael, I'm proud of you that your head actually fit in the helicopter.
Oh my God!
Okay,
Alex,
Jimmy Neutron.
Alex, I was actually incredibly surprised. I have long admired the sweater game. Last week. Oh wow, is that me?
That's you, babe. I picked it out myself.
Blue eyes. You got good lettuce too. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I mean, that's the size of your head, Michael. But aside from that, Alex, here's the thing. When I saw you today wearing the sport coat, I was thrown. I was shaken. I was shocked. Like, I went out and bought this new sweater this week because I thought the whole thing on the KayRod cast was you had to wear the same sweater every week in a different color. Because I've ever seen you on Shark Tank, on broadcasts, in pictures when you had it taken by the paparazzi, you're always wearing the Ned Flanders. You're wearing a sweater and a shirt underneath it.
That's my look. That's my look. But today, Jeff, we have a little family Easter, so I kind of dressed up. You know, you go to church, you go to a nice late lunch, and then you come see Michael Kay.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of sweaters here we're showing.
That is my look.
Yeah.
That is, yep. My daughters make fun of me all the time.
Now, Jeff, we've been talking a lot about analytics today, so I want to get you to ring in on it. What's your take on it, the way the game is going? You've heard what Alex had to say.
Yeah, I think there's a place where analytics and management, and by management, I mean inside of a clubhouse on the field, come together. And while, listen, I saw firsthand last year at the World Series what the Atlanta Braves staff, with as many years of experience as it has, was able to do with that team. But I don't think that numbers and being able to manage inside a clubhouse are necessarily mutually exclusive. Because if you look at what the San Francisco Giants have done over the last, 3 years, but the last 2 years in particular, you look at them last year winning 107 games and beating the Dodgers in the National League West, despite that inexperience. You look at them this year, losing Buster Posey this offseason, starting off 7-2. I believe they have the best record in Major League Baseball today, despite that inexperience. You look at what other franchises say about their on-field coaching staff, just how good they are at planning and executing. To me, what the best coaching staffs in 2022 do is bring together this idea that we have numbers, we have knowledge, we have all of these things. What we want is people who are going to be able to translate it and talk to players the way that they understand the game to be now. And you look at the players today, they're growing up having pitched in front of TrackMans. They're growing up having hit in front of virtual stadiums and seeing balls that they hit inside of a batting cage fly 400 feet. This is their language now. So if you don't have people who have that conversational ability, you're behind the 8 ball.
Jeff, let me throw a little wrinkle at you. I want to be clear and preface everything by saying that I believe analytics and information is paramount, but so is experience. And I remember in the early days, Jeff, when I was playing, and I remember vivid conversations of old school baseball guys, coaches, players, managers. They did not want the analytics in the room, and they would push them out. Today, the analytics people don't want the baseball people in the room, and they push them out.
Oh, that's not true.
I think both are wrong. I think both are wrong.
That's not true. It's
just look at the data. Look at the data.
People, I know, but they want the baseball people in the room because the analytics people know that the players aren't going to listen to them. That's the thing. They want baseball people who can speak that language as well. And I think the vast majority that you find in the game these days are baseball people who have learned either I need to understand the analytics and get up on this, or I'm not going to have a job in modern baseball.
But Jeff,
it's the
game is
aren't willing to listen to it.
I know, but the game is going the wrong way. So we have to make an adjustment. You can't have 4-hour games. You can't have 15, 16 pitchers on a staff. You can't have a bunch of rock throwers throwing as hard as you can. And you can't have guys just swinging for the fences. So what I'm saying is, if you let me finish, what I was trying to say was, I think they're both imperfect. And I think there needs to be a blend of the front office and the dugout coming together. And some teams, like the Braves, have done a really nice job of that. You know, you have, you mentioned the Braves did a nice job of that, and they got rewarded with a championship. I still think we have a long ways to go, because I'm telling you, I was there for 25 years, and they did not want to get the analytics guys into the room. And if you talk to old schoolers, they feel like they're pushed out of the room, or they've stayed out of the room for whatever reason. Now, you have your reasoning, but I do think that we have a long ways to go there.
Yeah, I agree with you on a lot of these things. And the fact that it was brought up earlier on the broadcast, I think the average start this year, and I got this from Mike Bonzani with the ESPN Stats Info, I believe the average start this year has lasted 4.1 innings. That's a problem. When you don't have the premium starting pitcher, when you don't have the guy who you're going out there to the ballpark to see throw 7, 8, 9 innings even, I think that's a big pox on the game. I think you look also at just how long games are lasting. It's a problem. It's a problem I also think, though, is going to be solved by the pitch clock, and we can hit that after the break.
Oh, look at you. Nice little throw to break. Like a professional broadcaster, Jimmy Neutron. We'll come back with Jimmy Passan right after this. All right, we go to the bottom of the 8th inning at Petco Park, and the Padres lead the defending champion Braves by a score of 2-1. Michael Kay, Alex Rodriguez, and Jeff Passan. Jeff, talking about what the game needs, analytics, and that's a big part of the game, but also the game has to have the pace picked up. I think we can all agree on that, right?
We can, and this game's actually at a pretty good pace because we've seen some really good pitching, but when you have a 2-1 game, when you have a 3-2 game that's going over 3 hours, it's antithetical to baseball. It's not what baseball is, has been, frankly, is supposed to be. And Alex, when you talk about that, you're dead on. Like, right now, baseball is at a point where I think the people at the commissioner's office understand that the on-field product does not represent the best of what the game can be. And I think the best of what the game can be was seen in the minor leagues earlier this week. For the first time, there was a pitch clock at every minor league game. And J.J. Cooper at Baseball America chronicled this. He said the average game time was down about a half hour. Now, I understand baseball has historically and romantically been a game without a clock. That's something that people hold on to. Well, there are a lot of things that people hold on to about baseball that simply don't exist anymore. And if we can get games down 20, 30 minutes just by putting a pitch clock in, I think that's the right thing to do for the long-term health of the game. But the question is, Alex, how are the players going to respond to it?
Well, I think the players can react to things that make common sense. And I think this is one that I think everybody would really enjoy moving up the game, and the cadence has to be better. But Chris Russo talked about earlier, we've lost the dynamic duo of heavyweight battles of Nolan Ryan, Tom Seaver, Kurt Schilling against, Roger Clemens, and so on and so forth. My question to you is, the time clock, it solves one issue, but it doesn't solve the fact that you can have a starter for one inning and then 8 no-namers, that are just rock throwers trying to throw as hard as they can. Where's the pitchability? You had one of the greatest pitchers of all times last week right here, Roger Clemens, say he would never sacrifice velocity for command. My question to you is that being taught today at the game, at the major league level?
Velocity is everything today, because velocity is the easiest thing to teach and the most effective thing. And it's a big problem, frankly. I think part of the reason why pitchers don't go deeper into games is because they are going max effort, full tilt on just about every pitch. They understand that their curveball needs to spin 3,000 revolutions per minute. They understand their slider needs to have a specific type of tilt that they can go and build inside of a pitching lab. And they understand that if you do not throw 95 miles per hour, you're not going to be scouted. And it's a crazy thing that the game's gotten to this point. And it's why I think the solution to this is smaller pitching staffs. If managers don't have enormous bullpens to go to, they're not going to be compelled to go to them in the 5th inning when a guy's at 75 or 80 pitches. If starters understand that they need to go deeper into games because they don't have that backup in the bullpen, then maybe they don't go full tilt or max effort. Maybe they build themselves up to 100, 110, even 120 pitches, which I believe pitchers are capable of doing. Baseball has just incentivized them not to do it. And so there need to be rules in place. And I understand these rules are going to take a while to really have an effect. You need to, if you're an organization that knows you can have only 11 pitchers on your staff, spend 5 years building an infrastructure that supports that. You need to push, frankly, minor leaguers more than they're pushed right now. And you need to make a fundamental change to the game that doesn't exist. But I think that's a change long-term, guys, that would behoove the game so much, because the idea of having 2 aces out on the mound and that being the determinant of where a game goes, that's the old school baseball that I love, and I think both of you love as well.
Now, Kershaw, the 7 innings, perfect game. Now, I read your Twitter feed like it's air. It's air to me. It's water. It makes my existence worthwhile. It really does.
Is that good or bad?
It's good.
Oh,
it's good. It seems, Jeff, though, that you wanted Kershaw to stay in for the entertainment value, but don't you think that they made the only prudent decision to take him out?
No, I don't think it was the only prudent decision, because in reality, Michael, we don't know if taking Clayton Kershaw out is going to keep him healthier. We don't know if keeping Clayton Kershaw in was going to make him more susceptible to being hurt. And I say this not from a place of ignorance, but from having spent years and years researching and writing a book literally called The Arm. And I'm not saying that to like brag. I'm saying I've studied this stuff. And what I learned is that we don't know a whole lot. And we certainly don't know what is going to make a guy get hurt or not. Now, one point I thought Chris made that was salient was that as much as people wanted to blame Dave Roberts for this, if Clayton Kershaw said, I'm staying in, Clayton Kershaw was going to stay in. So this was the decision that he made. But we have to recognize, too, that a pitcher knows his own health better than anyone. And it's because of that as much as I wanted him to stay in, as much as I believe he could have stayed in, I think Clayton Kershaw understood that the health of his arm and didn't want to push himself beyond what he thought he was capable of.
Jeff, so you have analytics departments telling you that, hitting 300 doesn't matter anymore. And at the same time, they're telling you that if you strike out over 200 times, that also doesn't matter. Now, obviously, there are some nuances there that if you hit more home runs, it's acceptable. But you've never had a franchise in the history of the game win a world championship with one player with 200 strikeouts or more. The Yankees have 3. So, and it also makes the product worse, right? So if you're the commissioner of baseball, this is a conundrum that you have to deal with. You have analytics departments running these front offices and now running the dugouts and the lineups, but yet is making the game less attractive, less people are watching, and less desirable. How do you answer that?
I think we look at that 11-man staff, Alex, and if guys are, not going full tilt, not going for strikeouts every time, looking for contact, then you're going to have fewer strikeouts potentially. But it's tough to get past, especially on the pitching side, the idea that you're not going to go up there and try and strike a guy out. Because every time a bat hits a baseball and it goes into play, it lands 30% of the time. 29, 30%, somewhere in that range. So if you are a pitcher, you're taking care of that 29 or 30% by punching a guy out. I've never been someone who abides by the idea that strikeouts don't matter for hitters. They clearly matter for hitters because they can't be really good for pitchers and also not bad for hitters. And, Spencer Strider is going to be a really good pitcher because he strikes a lot of dudes out.
Jeff, thanks again. Thanks so much. Second time we've had you. Happy Easter, buddy, to you and your family, and hope you had a good holiday weekend.
See you, Jeff.
I'm going to go blast off to the stars.
Kids at the ballpark, why not? It's Easter Sunday. It's a great family day. Having a blast at Petco Park. They have that field behind the field, a little beach action as well. And they're kids. I can't even say they're kids. They're young adults. Alex's daughters are here, Tasha and Ella. Thank you both for coming. How you doing?
Good. Good.
Yeah?
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you. How did you think your dad handled eating a peep? I don't think he liked it.
It was odd. I didn't know you've never had one before.
Never.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you this. I mean, obviously we're in a tight game here, but this is more important. Is Dad cool or like nerdy at home?
At home?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nerdy always. I feel like it's hard to be cool, but I'm also his daughter, so that's like hard to judge.
Now, is there anything that he does that's cringy?
Definitely.
Example? Come on.
A lot of his dancing and also a lot of his dad jokes are a little bit old at this point.
You have a dad joke for us, Alex?
No, I only have those at dinner time.
Yeah. The
Now-
TikToks are a little try hard. That's all.
You're the one that's going to Michigan, or might go to Michigan, right?
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Oh,
Look at this.
Oh,
there we go.
Oh yeah, that's a TikTok.
that's a little forced, you said.
Yeah, that one was cute.
I appreciate the effort.
The effort's key.
Yeah. I know it could be worse.
Yeah. Do you like your dad's social media feeds?
Yeah, it's been doing good. It's been doing good.
Recently, it's been good. I feel like he goes overboard on the stories
The
sometimes.
stories could calm down for sure.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
the clips are pretty good. Yeah.
You know, can you give us a little Michael K? You've heard him basically since you were like little kids. Give me a little Michael K at his deep sea of the whole thing.
Okay. Ready? We'll say it together. It's high. It is far.
It's an.
Oh, you're
An A-bomb.
See ya.
Yeah, there you go.
So
there
that
you go.
morphed John Sterling and
Yeah,
me.
it
it is
did.
high as for C. I
And they have
like
a little
it.
Susan Waldman too. They love Susan.
Yeah, there you go. Do you guys, I mean, it's been a while. Do you guys actually remember Dad playing?
Yeah, for
You do?
sure.
What's your favorite moment?
Honestly, like when we ran on the field, that was a good one.
Oh, that was my last game.
At the end.
They both ran. I had my seats by third base, and they both ran across the field to give Daddy a hug. That was a great moment.
Now, you know what I remember about that? They honor you behind the plate, and then the sky opens up. I said, only Alex.
That's right. And it rained for like 6 minutes.
But it was like a vicious,
It was
vicious
nasty.
thunderclap. Are you guys baseball fans?
So-so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Couldn't force it on them, right, Alex?
No, they do whatever they want. I just support.
Fans for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, gotta say yes.
And Timberwolves fans?
For 100%.
Yeah,
Of course.
like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you guys were at the game yesterday?
Yep.
That seemed like it was fun.
It was
Lots
great.
of fun.
Beautiful.
They're very excited about that. Very excited.
Yes.
And they love the Yankees.
Is Dad a tough dad? Is he a disciplinarian? Does he let you get away with stuff?
No. Discipline, yes. We
Really?
don't get away with stuff. No.
You don't get away with okay.
No.
Does he let you use social media, a phone a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as we're smart about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And he's the one who judges whether you're smart?
Well, we kind of know at this point, but yeah, I guess he judges it.
Actually, you know what? Knowing Alex as long as I know, that's the only time I see him with that smile on his face, when you guys are around.
Well, we got a great game here. 2-1.
One more out. You guys are going to call the play-by-play or what?
Oh.
We're not that much of baseball fans.
But you're a KayRod fan, right?
Yes,
KayRod cast?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell Michael our breakfast, lunch, and dinner rule at dinner.
No
phones.
Really?
Yeah.
And I collect them?
Yeah, we have a pile, a little stack.
Really?
Yep.
Do you hear that, Charlie and Callie? Because they don't
Sorry.
eat they don't eat without their phones. All right, so the crowd at Petco Field on its feet. We've got a pitcher's duel. How about this?
Tremendous game. Darvish was outstanding. 2-1.
Now let's see how this ends. So Darno, the Braves catcher, 0-1 count. Atlanta down by 1. San Diego looking to nail this down. The final game of this 4-game set. Final game of the day in baseball. That's what Sunday Night Baseball is all about. It all comes down to this. Now one more strike. So if you're Darno, Alex, you thinking about just going up the middle, or are you thinking you might want to tie this game with one swing?
Well, before, as you go to the plate, you're thinking extra base hit. You know, not a home run, but gap to gap, you're thinking double, right? And then now with when you go 0-2, now you're survival mode, right? So you're just looking, choke up a little bit. You do not want to make the last out. You never want to be the guy that makes the last out. So now you're fighting for your life. Good take.
Did he go? No, he did not. Now, this is the picture they got from the Twins in that deal they made for Paddock. So Rogers can deal. And he's got one more strike to go with the Padres, leading the Braves 2-1. The defending world champions off to a 5-5 start. Padres 5-5 as well. Swing and a miss, and that'll do it. And the Padres win. So the Padres go to 6-5. And obviously, the Braves go to 5-6, and the Padre likes it. That was quite a ball game. Good pitching, clutch
Great
hitting.
game. Pitching, defense, little power, and a great way for the Padres to end the beautiful Easter day.
Boy, did this ball drop out of nowhere, and d'Arnaud swings over the top. Padres like it. So off to a good start with their new manager, Bob Melvin. Ladies, please have a peek. Listen, to everybody out there, we thank you so much for spending part of your Easter Sunday with us. We can't thank you enough. Thank you for the support of the KayRod cast. We'll be back for the Mets and the Phillies. Hope you had a great day, everybody. For Alex and the girls, I'm Michael Kay. See you, everybody.
See ya.
Happy Easter. Happy Easter.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here with the great Michael Kay. Just got in from Baltimore.
Michael, I'm surprised that KayRod and I are on the same page.
Don't look at me, Michael. I am always ready to talk money. You rode in a helicopter today.
The helicopter, that ESPN picked that up.
You have a mansion in Connecticut. You have a chef.
Go chef.
Michael, you say, do I like analytics? I love analytics.
I'll be back in a minute.
You guys on a couch right now?
Yeah, we just ordered some pizza, so I'm starving. Your next door neighbor was Randy Macho Man Savage.
Hey, you'd be out there shooting hoops like, Maverick, hey, get over here. Let's play some basketball.
Was there anybody that you've seen so far and you were in awe of the fact that you were on the field with that person?
So I say hi to Salvador Perez, and he stares right back into my soul.
I'd rather listen to my mom call me right now and tell me I was adopted and she never really loved me than listen to Alex Rodriguez commentate a baseball game. Well, Danny, your mom's on the phone right now.
We love you guys. Keep it going.
Hi, I'm Reese Davis, and welcome to the Draft Featured, where we profile some of the best players who are expected to move to the next level in the coming weeks. On this show, we'll look at a pair of running backs, Michigan State's Kenneth Walker and Zeus, Zamir White from the national champion Georgia Bulldogs. And we'll profile a defensive end, who's really good at stopping them, Oregon's Kayvon Thibodeau. But we start with LSU cornerback Derek Stingley. For his first 2 years as a Bayou Bengal, Stingley wore number 24. But before this past season was given number 7. At LSU, number 7 is reserved for an elite few. Guys like Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson, and Leonard Fournette are among them. Stingley said at the time, "I'm ready to wear it." And as Gene Wojciechowski tells us, that's not the only legacy that Stingley wears on his back.
When people hear Derek Stingley Jr., they say, I wonder if he's related to the Darryl Stingley guy. So that brings Dad's name back up, which I'm proud of, and I'm happy that it's coming back like that because of Derek.
You know the pain it can bring, too.
Oh, I really do. But we're not running from it. We're running towards it. We're a football family. It's all that I know. It's all that my son knows.
Diving pick! Derek Stingley made the pick!
It's just in my blood. I didn't choose it. It didn't choose me. Like, it just happened. Like, that's just how it's meant to be.
From the very first moment Derek Stingley Jr. arrived at hometown LSU as an early enrollee in December 2018, his talent was undeniable.
I always like to just throw at the freshmen that are coming in and see what they're made of, see if they're tough. They get beat, throw right at them again to see how they respond. That's the best true freshman I've ever seen.
What do you think his legacy could be by the time he leaves here at the end of the year?
One of the greatest players to ever play at LSU, especially the best cornerback.
Stingley worked out right now, he'll be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft.
The Stingley name not only stretches across the back of his jersey, but also across 3 generations. His father, Derek Sr., played college and Arena League football. And it isn't unusual for older NFL fans to ask Derek Jr. about his grandfather, Darryl Stingley, a New England Patriots wide receiver in the 1970s.
They usually say, like, oh, I remember watching him. Like, he was so good. Like, he was amazing, very athletic. He was a star.
August 12th, 1978. What does that date mean to you?
I do remember my mom waking me up in the middle of the night saying, I have to go to Oakland, California.
They're going to put it in the air. Oh, the intended receiver is Darryl Stingley. The man he ran into was Jack Tatum, and Stingley was down.
The collision broke Stingley's neck in 2 places, severely damaged his spinal cord, and left him a quadriplegic. 26-year-old Stingley would never walk again.
Now, I'm still 7 years old. I don't understand the word paralyzed. And I walked over to the bed, and then I climbed up on his chest and said, Dad, get up. He didn't say anything. He actually turned away from me. For the first time, he felt the pain of not being able to move and get up for his baby boy. And he said he cried like a baby that night.
It's tragic. He went up in the air, and at the last second, he tensed. I think it was a freak accident.
In 2001, Derek Sr., known as Big Sting, had his own baby boy nicknamed Lil Sting. The son was a football natural.
Derek was like 2 to 3 years old, and I would take him out front, and we would run routes. So I videoed it one time, and I sent the video to my dad, and he was like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. He said, this kid is going to be great. He's going to be great.
Have you ever had anybody come up to you, Derek, and just say, man, you know what happened to your grandfather. Why do you want to play football?
I've been asked that like once or twice, but I don't think about the injury that he had though. Like that wouldn't be good to think about while you're out there playing, because then you won't play to your best ability.
Derek Stingley Jr. was only 5 years old when his grandfather died on April 5th, 2007. An autopsy attributed Darryl Stingley's death to medical factors related to his long-term paralysis. He was 55. Remember the last conversation you had with him?
Yeah. We was talking about Derek, my son.